Alberta, the 2018 World Fleck Conference in Fort Worth, Texas, also the Lindsay Exhibition, the National Hereford Show in France, the Manitoba Egex National Charlet Show and Simmental Show, the National Charlet and Hereford Shows in Sweden, the National Hereford Calf Show in the United Kingdom, the Toronto Royal Agricultural Fair, the Junior Beef Heifer Show Showmanship, and Simmental Champion of the World competitions. Their most notable show ring highlights include the 2020 Hereford Miss World Champion with Harvey Firefly ET35Z, the 2019 Agribition Hereford National Senior Bull Calf, the 2018 National Hereford Premier Breeder and Breeders Herd, and Reserve National Champion Female. As far as it goes, Harvey Ranching's genetics have sired national champions in 7 different countries. So welcome to Jill and Cole Harvey, our judges for today on the National Galvey side here. We're into class number 18 on the Galvey side, purebred females born from February 16th to July 15th, 2021. This will be split one. There'll be 3 entries in this class. And they are vying for the Junior Heifer Calf Division, sponsored by Twin View Livestock, is your champion sponsor, and your reserve champion heifer calf sponsor is Triple S Cattle Company. Here's Judge Harvey with her comments on her first split of junior heifer calves.
Well, we've got some young females in this class. So we've got two Mays to start and then a March heifer calf. The red heifer that starts the class, for us, she's the most complete female of the day. She's really good at the ground. She's got adequate bone. I like the angle of her knee to her shoulder. She's really, really pretty in terms of that neck extension that she gives you. Such a really elegant look to her. And then she's wide and level over that top. She, for us, is stepping into that front foot placement just a little bit more smooth than the female in second. There's nothing to take away from the second place female. She's one that has so much substance to her. Really like the belly in her, the extra shape she has in her quarter, and on side profile when she's standing, you have to admire her for extra shape and overall balance. But for us today, the red female is just getting out and traveling ever much so more smoothly. The female to round off the class, she has a little bit more age than these other heifers. For ourselves, she's got some length to her, definitely has a look. She's just giving up that natural muscling that we're looking for in the females that we see in first and second.
Well, thank you, Jill. And with that, first in class is entry 2469, Flaidland Jackpot 26J, exhibited by Flaidland Livestock of Gladmar, Saskatchewan. Second in class is entry 2467, Flaidland JC40J, exhibited by Flaidland Livestock of Gladmar, Saskatchewan. And she is entered in the Sweetheart Classic, so just make note of that. 2467 is entry in the Sweetheart Classic. Entry 2466 is third. That's LCF Jolene 212J, exhibited by LCF Galby Livestock at Hazelet, Saskatchewan. Additional owners Glenn and Kimberly Little. Now into split number 2. There's 4 entries in this class. In class 18, Here's Judge Harvey with his comments on Split 2.
I think we got a class winner here that just really rises to the top pretty handily. You know, she really hits you hard when she comes into the class. She's so nice through that front end. She's really strong topped. She's got a lot of natural body to her. She's just really structurally sound, really good through that hip. Just a very complete individual. Then in second place, we decided to go with a real power female. You know, she's got so much depth of body, performance to her. She's not near as elegant as the female that precedes her, but, you know, just a very good female and going to make a good cow. And her added performance is kind of what gets her over this really fancy heifer in third place. Heifer that's really eye-catching. She's very striking in her makeup. I really like her lines. I just wish there's a little bit more of her to compete with some of the females ahead of her. The heifer calf that rounds off the class, really a nice dark red female that's got lots of length of body. She's just getting a little short on her stride today, so she's just like to free her up in motion and to place any higher, but a nice heifer.
Well, thank you, Cole. And with that, in Split 2, first in class is entry 2465. Twin View Gracie Gale 118J, exhibited by Twin View Livestock of Parkbag, Saskatchewan. Second in class is entry 2470. MGF Jewel 58J, exhibited by Maple Grove Galvey of Narcissus, Manitoba. Third in class is entry 2472. HL Miss Julie 25J, exhibited by Hurlburt Livestock of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Fourth in class is entry 2471. HL Miss Alicia 203J, exhibited by Hurlburt Livestock of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. With that, we'll have our top two finalists from our past two splits come back and compete for our junior and reserve junior heifer calf champion division. Your junior division champion is sponsored by Twin View Livestock, and your reserve champion junior heifer calf is sponsored by Triple S Cattle Company. If we could have representatives of those firms up to the announcer's stand and present your awards. Yeah, now it's fine.
It's fun.
Here's Judge Harvey with her comments on our junior heifer calf champions.
Cole and I are very pleased with the 4 individuals that we had come back for this division. And for us, they really type in nicely. When you look at this first class, those 2 females are very similar in type and kind. This red heifer for us, she's just so eloquent in her look, straight in her lines. She's got so much future to her. I think a female that's going to come back as a yearling and be a force to contend with. And then we look at our second class here, where we went with the more moderate frame female that has so much shape to her and natural muscling, gets out and moves, and she's so eloquent in her front end and fresh in her makeup. And then a female that preceded her that followed her, that was our power heifer of the group. And so with that, we're going to go with 2 females that we feel type in so nicely together. And for us, we went with a female that we felt just had a little bit more flank, depth of flank, and overall belly shape to win the division.
There you have it. Your junior heifer calf champion is entry 2465, Twinview Gracie Gale 118J, exhibited by Twinview Livestock of Parkbag, Saskatchewan. Your reserve junior heifer calf champion is entry 2469, Flaitland Jackpot 26J, exhibited by Flaitland Livestock of Gladmar, Saskatchewan. We're now into our senior heifer calf division here. Once again, thank you to our junior division sponsors. Your champion junior division is sponsored by Twinview Livestock. And your reserve champion heifer calf, a junior heifer calf, is sponsored by Triple S Cattle Company. This will be class 20, split 1. There'll be 4 entries in this class. Your senior division heifer calf champion is sponsored by Bluff Island Stock Farm, and your reserve champion senior heifer calf is sponsored by Jonas Cattle Company.
Test, test. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We're just moments away from beginning our World Congress Maine-Anjou Show here at Canadian Western Agribition, our 50th anniversary. Once again, I'd like to welcome you to the World Congress Maine-Anjou Show. Welcome to the folks watching online at dlms.ca. We're going to begin our Maine-Anjou Show with Class 1, our purebred females born in 2020. In this class, we're looking for 5 entries. We're looking for entry number 2799, Nordic Marigold 10H, exhibited by Nordic Maine-Anjou from Wyoming, Ontario. Entry number 2803, SWM Wilkin Ridge Clara 618H, exhibited by Wilkin Ridge Stock Farm from Ridgeville, Manitoba. Entry number 2804, SWM Wilkin Ridge Connie 123H, exhibited by Wilkin Ridge Stock Farm from Ridgeville, Manitoba. Also entry number 2800, Gilcroft 17H, exhibited by Gilcroft Farms from Demersville, Ontario. And entry number 2795, Stenberg's Hazel 4H, exhibited by Stenberg's Maine-Anjou from Alder Flats, Alberta. We'd like to acknowledge our judge today for the World Congress Maine-Anjou Show is Mr. Lance Leachman from Maidstone, Saskatchewan. Lance, along with his wife Sherry, owns and operates Big Gully Farm near Maidstone, Saskatchewan. The farm consists of Hereford, Polled Hereford, and Angus cows, with a bull and commercial female sale annually on the second Thursday of December. Lance graduated with an animal science and animal breeding and genetics degrees from Kansas State University and Virginia Tech, respectively, before returning to take over the family farm in 2010. Welcome, Lance.
Over here on the Gelby side, we're ready to turn things over to our judge, Cole Harvey.
Well, we're going to start off the class with probably just the most complete individual. She's not the most powerful in the class, but she's definitely the most complete. You really like how she is through that front end, how she is through her line. She's really got a nice hip shape to her. She's got enough body, but like to maybe give her just a bit more performance, but a female that's put together very nicely. Then we go into a little larger frame female. She's got lots of length to her. I just like to deepen her up a little bit more to compete with the heifer that's in front of her. But, you know, a heifer with lots of performance and lots of length of body. And I like her structural correctness, and that's why she places over the dark red heifer in third. You can move off now there if you want. The heifer in third place, really a nice dark deep red female. She really hits you hard because she's really nice haired and a little bit more attractive made than the heifer that rounds off the class. I like her softness in her middle. She just gets a little bit plainer in that back third. Like to strengthen her up in that hip and maybe straighten her up in that back leg and just give her a bit more strength when she walks and stuff like that, but a nice easy doing female. The heifer that rounds off the class, probably the highest performing female in the class with the most length. I just like to give her a bit more eye appeal to compete with some of the heifers that are above her today.
Well, thank you, Cole. And with that, first in class is entry 2474, RPS Miss Pretty Aggie 142J, exhibited by RPS Gelby in Medstead, Saskatchewan. Now, this will also be your donation heifer to the Manitoba Saskatchewan Association. So thank you much to the great folks at RPS Gelby, and congratulations on first in class in split number 1. Let's give them a big round of applause. Thank you much, Ryan and Sarah. Second in class is entry 2482, JSJ Josephine 7J, exhibited by JSJ Livestock of Hartney, Manitoba. She is also a sweetheart entry, and she's second in class is 2482. Third in class entry 2478, MGF Vipers Talia 1J, exhibited by Maple Grove Galvey, Narcissus, Manitoba. And fourth in class is entry 2480, Titmus Jessica 128J, exhibited by Thackeray Land and Cattle, Weyburn, Saskatchewan. Your next class in will be split 2, class 20. These are purebred females born January 1st to February 15th. And there are 6 entries in this class. They will once again be competing for your senior heifer calf division champion, sponsored by Bluff Island Stock Farm, and your reserve senior champion heifer calf, sponsored by Jonas Cattle Company. There's only 4 entries in this class. If you're keeping track in your show program, 2477 and 2476 are both scratches.
It looks like in the Maine-Anjou Show, Class 1, our class is complete. We'll now have comments from Judge Lance Leachman.
Well, first of all, I'd like to welcome everybody to the World Maine-Anjou activities this week. I don't know how the sale went, but I heard one folk say it was extremely strong, and I hope that was the case for you folks. I hope you've had fun so far. Really pleased to be able to be here with you today and evaluate the cattle. And then obviously your functions tomorrow with the wrap-up and the banquet tomorrow evening. I hope you guys have a tremendous time in terms of building motivation and camaraderie and getting along and advancing the breed and building momentum moving forward. And that's always the intent of those types of events, is to capitalize on that enthusiasm, and I definitely expect to see that through the remainder of the day. So we'll start with this particular class and try and evaluate the differences. I guess the black female that wins for me is just does so from a quality standpoint. And I think if you talk about, the levelness of lines that she presents on her top line and her underline, she's a female that's highly fitted. She's one that's high in her neck shoulder attachment as well. She comes long and level out of her hip. She's got some structural issues just like the rest of these females do, in all honesty. To me, she gets a little bit straight and rigid in her joints. If I could just relax her in the angle to her shoulder, consequently down into her pasterns, into her lower skeleton, I think that would help. But she does have a really engaging look from the profile. She maintains her levelness lines to a higher degree and still by all means mobile enough as she gets on the move. Female that comes out next definitely has a performance in terms of, weight per day of age, length of body. She's got several class advantages when you talk about total volume and pounds and weight and performance. Female that still has enough muscle and dimension as you appear from behind. She probably, to me, a little bit plainer is probably the females that follow her are in the same mold, but she's the one that has the most to her of those remaining cattle. Young gentleman that took that third heifer out, she's a female. Again, you like her from the standpoint of being long-bodied, having generated some weight per day of age and performance. She's still one that is made attractively through her front third, and I like the design in that regard. If you get behind her, though, she tends to narrow up at her pin. She gets a little bit narrow at the base of her foundation and just a little bit off from the profile. Female that goes out next with the red and the white painted up on the side and her legs, she's one that to me is pretty low input in her appearance as far as being moderate, big body, deep in her flank. I guess on the move, though, I question her in terms of just getting a little bit more rigid in her spine, a little bit plainer in terms of her appearance. She's one that I prefer to look at on the stand relative to the move, but I do like her body dimension, her moderation of frame, and the way that she potentially could maintain her body condition. Also like to clean up the udder quality on her a little bit. And then the young lady that left again with the dark red female to complete the class. Love that female again as far as her extension from shoulders forward, her length of body from there back. Again, a larger frame female that's still extremely mobile on the move. I guess when you get behind her, though, she just underwhelms to a certain degree in regards to muscle. She's the narrowest, flattest shaped heifer that just needs a little bit more total substance and with this skeleton from front to back.
Thank you, Lance. All right, and your Maine-Anjou Show in the Class 1, Split 1. In first goes to entry number 2799, Nordic Marigold, 10H, exhibited by Nordic Maine-Anjou from Wyoming, Ontario. In second goes to entry number 2803, SWM Wilkin Ridge Clara, 618H, exhibited by Wilkin Ridge Stock Farm from Ridgeville, Manitoba. In third place goes to entry number 2804, SWM Wilkin Ridge Connie 123H, exhibited by Wilkin Ridge Stock Farm from Ridgeville, Manitoba. In fourth goes to entry number 2800, Gilcroft 17H, exhibited by Gilcroft Farms from Demersville, Ontario. And in fifth goes to entry number 2795, Stenberg's Hazel 4H, exhibited by Stenberg's Maine-Anjou from Alder Flats, Alberta.
Here's Judge Harvey with her comments on her class of Split 2.
The split of heifer calves, we start off the class with 2 black heifers here that you could go either way in time. I imagine this second place female with a little bit more feed and conditioning, she might get over this first place female. But today, this is the complete female of the class. She's really, really well balanced. I love her front end and flat in her shoulder. She's got really nice angles in terms of her knee to her top of her shoulder, and the way her neck comes out of the point of her shoulder. She's really level over that top. She's got some Springer rib and extra shape. She also gets out on the move, and I'm pretty satisfied with the way she travels. And I would say overall, just a female with so much eye appeal, especially from side profile. So we move into the second place female. I do think there's quite a bit of future in this heifer. I don't think that she's had near the level of preparation as the female that wins the class, but I do think that I like her. I like her hip structure. I do think she's got lots of middle and a really pretty front end on her, and she's very nice to look at over the top. A female that matches in so nicely with this first place female. Now we're going to move into a couple red females here. I do believe that they're very similar in type and kind. We went with the heifer that has just a little bit more hair on her today. She's more eye appealing in that regard, just for the show ring. I do believe that her front end for myself, I like her head. I like the way her neck comes out of her shoulder. She's quite pretty. Once again, I don't think she has maybe the level of preparedness as the heifers above her, but in time she'll develop that. And the female that wraps up the class, one that's just maybe a little bit plainer in her makeup, but I think that her length of body, the way her tail head sets into her body is quite nice, and a female that has some future and is going to make a good cow.
Well, thank you, Jill. And with that, first in class is entry 2473, Twin View Natalie 25JET, exhibited by Twin View Livestock and Braylon Blake Gelvey. Second in class is entry 2475, BBG Emery 3J, exhibited by Braylon Blake Gelvey of Glentworth, Saskatchewan. And she is a Sweetheart Classic entry. Make note of that. 2475. Second in class is a Sweetheart Classic entry. Third in class is entry 2479, Tip Miss Jasmine 65J ET, exhibited by Thackeray Land and Cattle, Weyburn, Saskatchewan, and she is also a Sweetheart Classic entry. Fourth in class is Tip Miss Joanne 22J, exhibited by Thackeray Land and Cattle, Weyburn, Saskatchewan. So with that, we're into our senior division heifer calf championship here. Your senior heifer calf champion is sponsored by Bluff Island Stock Farm, and your reserve champion senior heifer calf is sponsored by Jonas Cattle Company. Coming back in class is entry 2474, RPS Miss Pretty Aggie 142J, exhibited by RPS Gelvey of Medstead, Saskatchewan. Second in class is 2482 out of split number 1. That's JSJ Josephine 7J, exhibited by JSJ Livestock of Hartney, Manitoba. Out of split number 2, first in class is entry 2473, Twin View Natalie 25J ET, exhibited by Twin View Livestock and Braylon Blake Gelvey. And second in class out of split 2 is entry 2475, BBG Emery 3J, exhibited by Braylon Blake Gelvey of Glentworth, Saskatchewan.
In our Maine-Anjou Show, we're in Class 1, females purebred or full blood, born in 2020. Split 2 is in the ring. We have entry number 2801, Perry's Miss Driver 8H, exhibited by Perry Farm from Harrowsmith, Ontario. We also have entry number 2798, Nordic Penny 3H, exhibited by Nordic Maine-Anjou from Wyoming, Ontario. Entry number 2802, Miss Rasilvia 78H, exhibited by Rasilvia Cattle Company from Derwent, Alberta. Entry number 2797, Miss Rasilvia 19H, exhibited by Kemp Farms from Innisfil, Alberta. Entry number 2796, Pick 6 Heaven Sent 02H, exhibited by Pick 6 Cattle from Gull Lake, Saskatchewan. It looks like our class is complete. We'll now have comments from Judge Lance Leachman.
Again, I think a class where the quality's been elevated as they come and present themselves. Red heifer I gravitated towards. I think she's come in a combination of not only having some class advantages in terms of performance and scale and length of skeleton, but she still puts it into a relatively appealing, maternal appearing package. I like her structure. I like the way that she gets out and takes a long athletic stride. She's still big bodied enough, has some shape and dimension out of her hip and down into her stifle, and still puts it into an appealing package on the move and the presence that she has up front. So I think a nice place to start. Heifer that comes in next, I think shares some of the similarities in terms of just the class that she offers from a balance standpoint. She's, a female that lays in nice at her shoulder. I think that's the determining factor probably between her and the third place heifer is I'm just more comfortable how she's laid in at her scapula, has probably just a notch more extension from her shoulders forward. She's a female that I love in terms of balance. She's big bodied. She's got a broody rib shape. She's more conservative in her frame. And I think that also plays into the fact that she's just a little bit shorter cup, a little bit shorter out of her hip, perhaps a little bit shorter body and lower to the ground, but still gets out and moves with a lot of agility. She tracks out. She's still wide and square to her pins, has a nice bold curvature to her rib cage. So an extremely high quality heifer that comes out second as well. Female that comes out in third, she's another one probably in that top trio that really engages you off the start in terms of her balance and the mass that she possesses. I like that heifer a lot in terms of her mid-body and her rib shape. She's a female that still is really long and level down her top line. A female that still has a very nice skull to her. Just in motion at times and on the stand, I just don't see her being quite as far-reaching or as aggressive in the stride that she takes out of her front end, perhaps because of the angle to her shoulder a little bit, but it's still a big-bodied, stout, muscular heifer that's got a lot of mass and a lot of bone underneath of her in terms of her underpinnings. Heifer that came out kind of first in the lineup, she's one that you kind of think of having a lot of muscle shape. She strikes me as a really bold, muscular female, and you get behind her, she's stout out of her hip. She's got some spread at the base of her skeleton. A female that I still like the dimension down her top. She just doesn't have the same balance and elegance probably as those first three heifers, particularly the top two heifers, as far as just putting into it a really attractive package in terms of extension up front, maintaining that levelness and basically flexation in her spine and the way that she goes. And then the female that concludes the class, again, really think that she's a stout bone, really stout underpinned female. Female that I still like, again, as far as the boldness and shape that she comes out of her spine in terms of rib cage. She's wide as you look at her from behind. She just tends to get a little bit off balance, gets a little bit more rigid and tight in her spine on the move, maybe a little bit coarser in her joints and her bone work as you get down into her joints, knee and pastern wise, but still a female that I think is very, very capable and high quality and has some really neat features going forward for her. So I think females on the top side, 1 and 2, that are really, really exciting, extremely high quality.
Thank you, Lance. All right, in first place in our split 2, Class 1 goes to entry number 2796, Pick 6, Heaven Sent, O2H, exhibited by Pick 6 Cattle from Gull Lake. In second place goes to entry number 2802, Miss Rasilvia 78H, exhibited by Rasilvia Cattle from Derwent, Alberta. In third place goes to entry number 2797, Miss Rasilvia 19H, exhibited by Kemp Farms from Innisfil, Alberta. In fourth place goes to entry number 2801, Perry's Miss Driver 8H, exhibited by Perry Farm from Harrow-Smith, Ontario. And in fifth place goes to entry number 2798, Nordic Penny 3H, exhibited by Nordic Maine-Anjou from Wyoming, Ontario.
With that, we're ready to turn things over here on the Gelby side to Judge Harvey with his comments on his senior calf champions.
Well, 4 nice individuals out here for this senior heifer calf championship. We've definitely, both our class winners, I think they're very eye-attracting females. They really grab you as soon as they come into the ring. They're very structurally sound. They've got enough body to them. I think there's a little bit of difference in performance, and I think that's what will separate this division, and Jill's going to go select her champion.
There you have it. Your senior champion heifer calf is entry 2473. Twinview Natalie 25JET, exhibited by Twinview Livestock and Braylon Blake Gelby. Your reserve champion senior heifer calf is entry 2474. RPS Miss Pretty Aggie 142J. She is also the donation heifer. So thank you much to the Sommerfelds at RPS Gelby in Medstead, Saskatchewan, and congratulations on your reserve junior heifer calf champion. We'll take a quick moment. We'll do some award pictures there, and we'll be back on to your grand and reserve champion female. And at this time, we'd like to welcome our major sponsors. I believe we have representatives from John Deere, Myers Norris Penny, Saskatchewan Cattlemen Association. I believe that's yes, I believe that's it.
All right, in the Maine-Anjou Show, we have Class 2 in the ring, the champion and reserve champion purebred or full-blood yearling heifer. Our class is sponsored by Hanson Livestock and Johnson Maine-Anjou.
Again, a solid duo of classes, and obviously I probably alluded to the fact that I preferred the individuals in the second class. So with that said, those will be the champion reserve within his division. Congratulations on a nice pair of females.
So your junior champion yearling heifer goes to entry number 2796. Pick 6 Heaven Sent 02H, exhibited by Pick 6 Cattle from Gull Lake. And your reserve champion purebred or yearling heifer goes to entry number 2802, Miss Rasilvia 78H, exhibited by Rasilvia Cattle Company from Derwent, Alberta. Your champion female sponsor was Hanson Livestock, and your reserve champion female was sponsored by Johnson Maine-Anjou.
This is junior? No, that's senior. I need junior first. Right here. So with that, we're ready to start our purebred division here on our champion female drive on the Gelby side. Your champion junior heifer calf is entry 2465, Twin View Gracie Gale 118J, exhibited by Twin View Livestock. Your reserve junior champion is entry 2469, Fladeland Jackpot 26J, exhibited by Fladeland Livestock. Your senior heifer calf champion is entry 2473, Twin View Natalie 25J ET, exhibited by Twin View Livestock and Braylon Blake Gelvy. Entry 2474, RPS Miss Pretty Aggie 142J, exhibited by RPS Gelvy, and she is also your donation heifer. Your junior champion female was entry 2454, AWB Gracie Gale 74H, exhibited by Twin View Livestock. Your reserve junior champion female was 2456, Davidson Miss CS 26H, exhibited by Davidson Gelvy. And your 2-year-old champion female was entry 2461, Davidson Miss Dunnett 136G, exhibited by Davidson Gelvy. And your senior champion female is 2462, Twin View Sugar 26F, exhibited by Twin View Livestock. And your reserve champion mature cow-calf pair was 2463, Lonesome Champagne 32F, exhibited by Lonesome Dove Ranch.
In the Maine-Anjou ring now, we have Class 6 females born January 1st to July 15th, 2021, split 1. In the ring, we have entry number 2809, Gilcroft 23J, exhibited by Gilcroft Farms from Demerstville, Ontario. At entry number 2811, Byman's Miss Lexi 88J, exhibited by Byman Cattle from Wadena, Saskatchewan. At entry number 2814, MHC Tilly 67J, exhibited by Hanson Livestock from Weldon, Saskatchewan. Entry number 2813, MHC Flicka 38J, also exhibited by Hanson Livestock from Weldon, Saskatchewan. And entry number 2807, Miss Rasilvia Irish 114J, exhibited by Kemp Farms from Innisfil, Alberta.
Here's Judge Harvey with his comments on his champion class of females here on the Gelby side of things.
Well, I think we need to start off by really giving these exhibitors a big round of applause for bringing out such an excellent set of Gelbys today. Jill and I have sure enjoyed ourselves today. All the cattle that have been brought to us have been really brought to us in a great manner. They're presented extremely well. The front end of this show, we've got some extremely sound-made, attractive females. They're very functional in their makeup, no matter what breed they are. These are awesome animals. They're really well balanced. They're easy doing, structurally sound. You know, as breeders, you got to be proud of what you brought out, and I think these guys did an awesome job. And you know, commercially, all these animals are going to add so much to the industry. They've really brought their herd up, or their breed up. You know, I've seen it from when my uncles had Gelbys back in the 90s, Remitol, and seen it. And my neighbors had Gelbys too, and they crossed them with Semitols, Angus, Herefords, and they really are such an awesome breed that will add udder quality, strong milking females. Just a breed that can add so much to the industry with their muscle shape too. I think it's really evolved since then too, that they can be a player in the Supremes too, that we've got really functional females out here. So I'd really like to commend all the breeders for bringing out such an awesome set of females and bulls today. And Jill and I have sure been impressed with the quality here, and really enjoyed our day. And with that, Jill's going to go slap our champion and then our reserve. But awesome job, guys.
There you have it, your grand champion females, entry 2462. The entry of Twin View Livestock. Twin View Sugar 26F, exhibited by Twin View Livestock. Congratulations. And your reserve champion females, entry 2454, Twin View Gracie Gales 74H, exhibited by Twin View Livestock and a co-owner of McDonald Farms. Congratulations.
In our Maine-Anjou Show, Class 6 is complete. We'll now have comments from Judge Lance Leachman.
Okay, challenging class, more so just based on performance, where you're acceptable in terms of perhaps mature frame, weight per day of age, some things of that nature. I guess the heifer calf that initiates, I sure like in terms of just her build. I think she's the best built one out here. A female that is big and bold in the spine. She hooks up nice behind her shoulder. She maintains that stoutness and progressively gets stouter back to her hip and out to her pins, down to the base of her skeleton, but still puts it into an attractive package. She's nice in her neck shoulder attachment. She maintains her levelness. She's uniform in her top and bottom lines, still tracks true and square off both ends of her skeleton. She obviously sacrifices performance compared to a couple of them, but I just like how she's built, and that's bottom line in that particular arrangement. Heifer that comes next, really similar in terms of her body type. You know, she's a moderate frame female. It's big bodied, really bold in the curvature to her rib cage. She has some stoutness to her hip. I just don't see her having quite the same package as far as quality is concerned. She's got more weight per day of age, a little bit more to her. I don't think she handles her neck shoulder quite as nicely as the heifer that initiates the class, just a little bit more blunt at the point of her shoulder. A female to me too that's just a little bit shorter out of her hip, doesn't quite have that same skeletal quality, but still a really nice female as far as the fundamentals of being stout boned, big bodied, and getting out and still having some length to her stride. Female comes next. There's some that are going to discriminate against her in terms of being too moderate or maybe not generating enough weight per day of age, and I wouldn't be one to say that's contrary, but she is a really nice made female. Just is there enough of her? How big is she going to get? I like how she's made. She wants to fight sometimes in the halter, but she is a female. It still is alert. She's laid in nice at her shoulder. She still has some boldness to her rib cage, some spread to her pins. Just obviously needs a lot more performance to to compete with the female options on either side of her. You know, the more traditional red female here, she's one that I do appreciate in terms of her length, her stoutness of bone, her performance, the weight per day of age she's generated. You know, she's one that a lot of breeders are going to gravitate towards those characteristics. I see her as being just a little bit coarser because of that. She doesn't quite have the same attractiveness in terms of her bone work. She's probably flatter sided and a little bit less dimensional in the shape to her rib cage, and that's why she sorts to where she does. But still, I like the fundamentals, and from a commercial standpoint, you know, in terms of transmitting some of those things to her progeny, from a bull standpoint, she does have some unique things to offer. Female comes in next again. Where does she sort to? You know, I like her length in terms of her neck, the extension up that way. I think she's still really youthful in her attractive look. Female that to me just gets a little bit more set to her hind leg than what's ideal. She tends to get a little bit tucked up in her flank, just a little bit frailer in her underpinnings. So I like the presentation on her. Still think she's got a lot of quality. Just didn't know if there's genuinely as much of her, particularly back down into her lower rib and her stoutness of underpinnings to compete with the other options.
Thank you. Thank you, Lance. In Class 6, in the Maine-Anjou side, split 1. In first place goes to entry number 2811, Byman's Miss Lexi, ADHA, exhibited by Byman Cattle Company from Wadena. In second place goes to entry number 2807, Miss Resilvia Irish, 114J, exhibited by Kemp Farms from Innisfil, Alberta. In third place goes to entry number 2814, MHC Tilly, 67J, exhibited by Hanson Livestock from Weldon. In fourth place goes to entry number 2809, Gilcroft 23J, exhibited by Gilcroft Farms from Demersville, Ontario. And in fifth place goes to entry number 2813, MHC Flecka 38J, exhibited by Hanson Livestock from Weldon, Saskatchewan.
So on our Gelby side of things here, we have our Sweetheart Parade here of our Sweetheart Classic females, and there are ballots up here at the announcer's booth if you'd like to get that done. So entry A is your entry of JSJ Gelby, JSJ Josephine 7J. Entry B is Flaveland JC 40J. Entry C is BBG Emery 3J. And entry 4 is Tip Miss Jasmine 65J ET. Now, while these Sweetheart females are in here, you think come look at them, right? Okay. As far as it goes, we're going to move on with our Commercial Breeder of the Year. We have our recipients are on hand now. Evan and Alicia Mann and their children, Parker, Bridget, and Jaylyn. They farm south of Siemens. And if we could get you folks to come down to the ring, we'd like to get a picture of you. They have a mixed farm consisting of 150 crossbred cows, as well as 3,700 acres of land where they produce grain, hay, and pasture. They are very involved in the community as well. The kids are involved with 4-H. They purchased their first Gelby bull in 2014. Since then, Parker has shown an interest in becoming a breeder and purchased his first female in 2019, which has grown to a herd of 6 head today. He is a junior Gelby member, and the entire family are Gelby enthusiasts. Let's give a big round of applause and congratulations to Evan and Alicia Mann and their family on the Commercial Breeder of the Year.
In the Maine-Anjou ring, Class 6, Split 2, the female is born January 1st to July 15th, 2021. In the purebred side of things, we have entry number 2815, Miss Resilvia 7J, exhibited by Resilvia Cattle Company from Derwent, Alberta. Entry number 2805, Pick 6, Daddy's Girl 106J, exhibited by Pick 6 Cattle from Gull Lake, Saskatchewan. Entry number 2806, Pick 6, Charisma 104J, exhibited by Pick 6 Cattle from Gull Lake, Saskatchewan. Entry number 2816, Dinero Miss Jersey 6J, exhibited by Dinero Farms from Melfort, Saskatchewan. At entry number 2808, Nordic Noel 4J, exhibited by Nordic Maine-Anjou from Wyoming, Ontario. And entry number 2812, Perry's Miss MM Jingles 18J, exhibited by Perry Farm from Harrow-Smith, Ontario.
Over on the Gelby side, we do have another award to present. This is going to be our Herdsman Award. And this is going to be presented by Trout Nutrition, Jessica Hextall, and our recipients of our Herdsman Award are Flaidland Livestock. So if we could have some members of the Flaidland Livestock operation up here to do a picture, that'd be great. So congratulations, Flaidland Livestock. You're receiving the Herdsman Award, sponsored by Jessica Hextall with Trout Nutrition.
Here at Canadian Western Agribition 2021, we have some purebred show sponsors, the GMC, Chevrolet and GMC. Take pride in your cattle and your ride. Platinum sponsors, GMC and Chevrolet, encourage you to check out powerful trucks like GMC Sierra and Chevrolet Silverado. Don't settle for less on the range or the open road. Agribition is brought to you in part by the Platinum sponsors, GMC and Chevrolet. GMC and Chevrolet are proud Platinum sponsors of this event. For trucks that are all power and no bull, check out the GMC Sierra and the Chevrolet Silverado. Looks like in the Maine-Anjou Show, our class is complete. Comments from Judge Lance Leachman.
Well, the poor heifer, she doesn't want to walk around in first, but she's going to be forced to. Easy class winner. I don't think there's really any adjectives you could use to describe her that wouldn't be out of place and in a superior fashion relative to her contemporaries in this particular class. Just a really hybridly presented female. It's got a tremendous amount of dimension to her, big-bodied, heavy-structured, and obviously they've done a great job fitting her, but she just is genuinely a class act in this particular class. A female that I like an awful lot, and we'll see later on for sure, but very high-quality individual to start with. About anything you want to say about her, you could use in a positive fashion in context compared to the other females. And then I think we kind of go probably two more females that I think are acceptable from a structure standpoint, and particularly this heifer. I think she just logically slides nicely into second as far as being another long-bodied, level, attractively designed female that gets out and moves with relative flexibility to her lower joints, still sufficient in terms of her boldness of rib and the depth that she displays at this particular stage in her development. I just like her a bunch, just simply not as much of her as the heifer that precedes her in this particular class. Female that comes out next, again, she's one that's bigger scaled, long-bodied, has some extension from her shoulders forward. A female that to me still gets out and tracks, has some flexibility, particularly down into her pasterns. She tends to get a little bit lower in her pin placement, wants to drop her pins and just get under herself to a certain extent, doesn't have the same true boldness on the backside of her shoulder as she transitions from the top of her shoulder into her forerib, but still a classy, attractive female that to me gets out and motors with a little bit more stability and flexibility than the cattle that remain in the lineup. This one that I like next, going to circle with the young lady, that one to me still appeals from just a muscularity standpoint. She's not the deepest bodied, but I think she's got a nice curvature sure as you analyze her down her spine and the way that she opens up on the backside of her shoulder. She still has some shape and dimension as you look at her from the profile and the 3/4 view down into her hip, into her stifle. That female to me just gets a little bit rounder. She's a tick more rigid in her spine, consequently doesn't pick her neck and shoulder quite up as high, and maybe drops down into her pins a little bit. If you could just soften her up in her spine, give her a little bit more flex, I think that would go a long way to help her. And then we get obviously a distinction in performance between these two females. The gentleman's here is a longer bodied, stouter, heavier structured female. It's just got more dimension and weight per day of age. This female, to me at times, it's not necessarily the angle to her shoulder, but she just gets a little bit bolder in her knee, a little bit forward in the angle to her knee. If you could just lay her back, she wouldn't want to compensate quite as much. And she just gets a little bit more uncoordinated, particularly in her hawk as she goes away from you. She's got plenty of angle to it, just a little bit more insecure in the way that she travels off, but still a long-bodied heifer that still has some extension, some youthfulness about her skull and to her neck. And then the female that concludes, again, a big departure in terms of scale and stature. If she's going to be big enough for you, I do like her body type as far as being, uniform in her depth from forward to flank. Female that still is attractive enough in her head and skull. I guess the thing that bothers me about her is she gets really pretty timid and pretty erect in the way that she goes off her rear pasterns. Just doesn't set them down with near enough cushion or security as what I probably prefer. But a really nice class, exceptional female to initiate.
You bet. Thanks, Lance. In Class 6, Split 2, in first place goes to entry number 2815, Miss Rasilvia 7J, exhibited by Rasilvia Cattle Company from Derwent, Alberta. In second goes to entry number 2805, Pick 6, Daddy's Girl 106J, exhibited by Pick 6 Cattle from Gull Lake, Saskatchewan. In third place goes to entry number 2806, Pick 6, Charisma 104J, exhibited by Pick 6 Cattle from Gull Lake, Saskatchewan. In fourth goes to entry number 2812, Perry's Miss MM Jingles 18J, exhibited by Perry Farm from Harrowsmith, Ontario. In fifth goes to entry number 2808, Nordic Noel 4J, exhibited by Nordic Maine-Anjou from Wyoming, Ontario. And rounding the class off goes to entry number 2816, Denaro Miss Jersey 6J, exhibited by Denaro Farms from Melfort, Saskatchewan. In the ring right now, we have Class 7. This is a female, full-blood female, born January 1st to July 15th of 2021. This is the only class. We have 3 entries in this class. Entry number 2820, Stenberg's Julie 7J, exhibited by Stenberg's Maine-Anjou from Alder Flats, Alberta. And entry number 2819, Stenberg's Jasma 1J, exhibited by Stenberg's Maine-Anjou from Alder Flats. And entry number 2821, Gilcroft Jazz 10J, exhibited by Gilcroft Farms from Demerstville, Ontario.
Over on the Gelby side, we're ready to start our group classes. Our first group class in. So over on the group class side here will be Class 23, Progeny Dam. That'll be an entry 2487 will be your first entry in. This will be the entry of Flaidland Livestock of Gladmar, Saskatchewan. Entry 2488 will be entry of Thackeray Land and Cattle, and entry 2485 will be an entry of Twin View Livestock.
Looks like Judge Lance has his class complete. We'll now have comments.
Again, a strong trio of full-blood heifers here, and I guess I kind of compromise with the female that starts the class. I'm very comfortable with where she's at in terms of just stature-wise and the amount of dimension and body capacity that she has relative to her frame. She's one that, of the first 2 heifers, I prefer certainly through her front third. I think she's a little bit longer neck. She's a little bit more up-headed, just has a bit more presence and extension and quality in that region of her body when you compare her particularly probably to the second heifer. I think in terms of body type, they're very similar, through their midrib. I just like the added length and scale performance this heifer's generate. I really like her as far as just a look to her in terms of rib shape, still having a nice front end. She doesn't have quite the same natural thickness, I wouldn't say, particularly down low into her quarters. What the second place female does, maybe doesn't maintain that same stoutness of underpinning or width from her hocks to the ground is what you'd maybe prefer, but a super nice heifer. Like this female, just she's a more moderate female, but she gives you that stouter look in terms of maybe possessing just a little bit more natural dimension or expression of muscle, particularly relative to the heifer that goes out in front of her. A little bit stouter as you view her from behind, but she is a shorter coupled female, gets just a little bit plainer through her front third, doesn't have quite that same presence, extension, and neck shoulder attachment in terms of just elevation as what the female going out ahead of her does. Obviously, female here that's generated a lot of weight and performance, super long bodied female. It's still got a neat look about her skull and youthfulness. You know, she just honestly to me is a little bit extreme. If you're comfortable with her and figure that she's got enough rib dimension relative to her frame and stature, you go ahead with her and use her and implement her. But I just like to see her more moderate with that amount of rib, or just give her more rib relative to the frame that she does have. Because she is a long-bodied heifer, she gets out and tracks really easily. She's very stable and has lots of flexibility. Just honestly a little bit more extreme to me in terms of not having quite enough body.
Thank you, Lance. In Class 7, your full-blood female is born in 2021. First place goes to entry number 2819, Stenberg's Jasmine 1J, exhibited by Stenberg's Maine-Anjou from Alder Flats, Alberta. In second goes to entry number 2820, Stenberg's Julie 7J, exhibited by Stenberg's Maine-Anjou from Alder Flats, Alberta. In third place goes to entry number 2821, Gilcroft Jazz 10J, exhibited by Gilcroft Farms from Demersville, Ontario. In the Maine-Anjou ring now, entering the ring is Class 8. This will be your champion and reserve champion, purebred or full-blood heifer calf.
On our Gelby side, Class 23 is complete. First in class is entry 2485, the entry of Twin View Livestock of Parkbeg, Saskatchewan. Second in class is entry 2487 of Flaidland Livestock, Ladmar, Saskatchewan. And third in class is entry 2488, the entry of Thackeray Land and Cattle, Weyburn, Saskatchewan. Your next class in on the group side here will be 24. And your champions breeder herd will receive an ad voucher from the Gelby World. Class 24 will be your next group class in.
Looks like in our Maine-Anjou champion heifer calf class, we'll have some comments from Judge Lance Leachman.
I think a really strong set of heifer calves that have been displayed in these three classes, and the breeder should be extremely proud. And, you know, so long as throughout the day from particular operations or people that are showing cattle repeatedly, you just want to see some consistency. And I think that so far has been evidenced in terms of their breeding objectives and the direction they're headed. So with that said, I think each of you exhibitors should be really proud, you know, as far as the heifers that you developed. And it's so exciting to see them at this age and how they'll change still and how they're going to develop. And then when put into production, how those cattle, you know, match up to what your expectation of them was at this age. So with that, there's a clear winner, probably a clear second in this particular division that slot fairly logically. I'll go select those, but congratulations and thanks for an excellent set of heifer calves.
And your grand champion heifer calf goes to entry number 2815, Miss Resilvia 7J, exhibited by Resilvia Cattle Company from Derwent, Alberta. An additional owner is Tyson Polsholka as well. And your reserve champion heifer calf goes to entry number 2811, Byman's Miss Lexi 088J, exhibited by Byman Cattle Company from Wadena, Saskatchewan. Our champion heifer calf sponsor was Stenberg's Mains, and our reserve champion heifer calf sponsor was Gateway Vet Services. In our Maine-Anjou Show, entering the ring is Class 9. This will be our grand champion and reserve champion, purebred or full-blood female. In this class, entering the ring is entry number 2796, Pick 6 Heaven Sent 02H, exhibited by Pick 6 Cattle from Gull Lake, Saskatchewan. And your reserve yearling was entry number 2802, Miss Resilvia 78H, exhibited by Resilvia Cattle Company from Derwent, Alberta. And your champion heifer calf class, your champion was entry number 2815, Miss Resilvia 7J, exhibited by Resilvia Cattle Company from Derwent, Alberta. And your reserve heifer calf was entry number 2811, Byman's Miss Lexi 088J, exhibited by Byman Cattle Company from Wadena. This is your grand and reserve champion, purebred or full-blood female class.
Here's Judge Harvey with her comments on the Breeders' Herd.
Well, this is the most exciting class of the day for myself. Every show I've ever been to, the one that I feel that has the most importance and means the most to the exhibitors is the Breeders' Herd. It's just such a reflection on the cow herd that you have at home that you haven't had a chance to have everybody see. But bringing them out here, we can really see what your goals are, and cattle that pattern in together, or even females that you can see their daughters are just that much better than they are. Then you see that you're continuing to better your herd, and that's a clear reflection in our champion breeders herd right here. We're very impressed with this group. They type in so nicely. Congratulations. There is a splattering of our champions all throughout these other two breeders' herds. Cole will indicate who our reserve is. We just think that you've all done a great job of bringing out some tremendous cattle. Congratulations, and we wish you all the best in Supreme and for the year to come.
Well, thank you, Jill. And with that, your champions breeder herd is the entry of Twin View Livestock. Your reserve champion breeder's herd is the entry of Davidson Gelby, and third in class is the entry of Flaidland Livestock. Next on the Gelby side, we'll have class 25. This is going to be your Get a Sire.
In our Maine-Anjou champion class, we will have some comments from Judge Lance Leachman.
Well, again, I'm very pleased with the lineup of the females, breds, and the heifer calves that are out here. I think, you know, in terms of my philosophy and outlook on cattle, those kind of mirror the images of females that I think would be really exciting and that I would envy having in production ourselves. So just be very proud of all four of these females. You know, for me, it does personally become a kind of a two-female race between the two division winners, and I like both of them really well. I guess just to summarize, the red female, you know, quite honestly, she's one that I always like when she's on the move. I just think she looks better, and I think that's the better indication of quality cattle is when you see them on the move. She's one that I just think is so fundamentally good. She's a big, high-performing, big-bodied, sound-structured female. It's still attractive and maternal in her look. Not a lot that I really could change about or alter. There's some subtle things when she's on the stand at times. She maybe doesn't hook up right over her loin edge quite as attractively as you'd like, or maybe you handle her hind leg in terms of squareness from her hock to the ground. But she's just a really fundamentally good female. You could mate a heck of a lot of different ways and still, I think, create a very quality progeny no matter how she would do it, because she's so versatile in terms of the phenotypic characteristics that she hopefully should transmit. You know, the female that came out of that division second, I really like her again. She's a really classy female. It's highly presented. She's big body. She, again, is really sound on the move. Just shorter couple, just not as much length and extension to her, a little bit shorter out of her hip, just a different body type. And if that's what you prefer, she's one that you're definitely going to gravitate towards because she has some really unique attributes in her own right. The young heifer calf over there, the black female, I mean, she's exceptionally high quality and has a lot of unique attributes to her. They've done such an excellent job in terms of preparing her. She's one that you like as far as just her dimension of bone. She's so big topped and stout in her mid body, still has some set or some power from behind. She gets a little bit more you know, just shape to her hock, a little bit more angle to her hock at times, but that's definitely nothing that's going to be a detriment in terms of longevity. I mean, that makes the fact that she's going to track that much longer, has that much more, you know, just extension in terms of reach. But she's just a really, really neat female to look at, and she generally has a pretty big performance advantage over the females that were in her counterparts. And then again, just a nice high-quality female comes next. You know, she's not in the same league in all honesty, but she's built nice, she's level in her lines, still attractive in the design through her front third, just more juvenile in terms of her development relative to that first heifer. So with that said, I'll still think on it for a minute or two, but I'll go pick out the champion reserve. Again, congratulations to these exhibitors. I think, you know, no matter if you've gravitated towards full bloods or some of the other cattle out here, you've got some really nice options, and hopefully can engage the breeders in some unique genetic opportunities to progress your herds.
There you have it. Your grand champion Maine-Anjou female goes to entry number 2796, Pick 6, Heaven Sent 02H, exhibited by Pick 6 Cattle from Gull Lake, Saskatchewan. Congratulations, Pick 6. The grand champion female is sponsored by Saskatchewan Cattlemen's Association and will receive a jacket from John Deere Limited. And your reserve grand champion female goes to entry number 2815, Miss Resilvia 7J, exhibited by Resilvia Cattle Company from Derwent, Alberta. Additional owner Tyson Plasholka. Congratulations on your reserve champion female, sponsored by the Saskatchewan Maine-Anjou Association. I believe we'll take a couple moments now to have a few photos of our Grand and Reserve Champion Maine-Anjou females.
Over on the Galvey side here, we're on Class 1, Split 1. This is your balancer show now. This one entry in this class, 2502 for River Jade. In your balancer heifer calf class here, she'll be your champion balancer heifer calf. There's Judge Harvey with his comments on his balancer heifer calf.
Well, a really nice individual entry in this class. You know, she definitely could stand some more competition. She's got so much mass to that middle third. She's got a real nice hip structure to her. She's nice through that front end. Good amount of bone to her. Just super easy doing a really strong individual entry here.
There you have it. Your champion balancer heifer calf is entry 2502. This is Fur River Jade, exhibited by Fur River Livestock at Hudson Bay, Saskatchewan. So congratulations on your champion balancer heifer calf, and that award is sponsored by the Canadian Galvey Association. With that, we'll be into Class 3. This will be balancer or percentage female born in 2020. There's 2 entries in this class. Once again, your champion and reserve champion balancer yearling heifers are sponsored by the Canadian Galvey Association. Here's Judge Harvey with her comments on her balancer bred heifer class here.
This is quite an impressive class of females. The female that comes to the top of the class for us, she does so very easily. It's a female that she's ready for the day. I would say that she could probably go in any other breed show and type in very nicely. She's so complete, and when you look at her from the ground up, I would say she gets out and moves. She's got an adequate amount of bone. She has some flex to her joints. Really nice hip structure in this female, sets down a nice tail head. When you get in behind her, she's wide over her skeletal, and she's just got so much depth of rib and springer rib. A female that's just incredibly complete, and also I'd say in terms of her condition, she's just right. She's 12 o'clock for today. She's followed by a female that, for myself, she's just so long-bodied. You want to look at her all day. I think she's going to be a great cow. She's got so much middle. I do believe that she'll lay down a great udder as well, and a female that, for myself, maybe just has just isn't as level over the top as the other female above her, or have maybe as much of that show readiness for the day. But really, you can't take that away from her. She's just got so much future in her. I think that you'll be really happy with her as a cow.
Well, thank you, Jill. And with that, your champion balancer, Brett Heifer, is entry 2504, Flaidland Hotwire 99H, exhibited by Flaidland Livestock of Gladmar, Saskatchewan. Your reserve champion balancer, Brett Heifer, is entry 2503, BBG Deanne 2H, exhibited by Braylon Blake Gelvy and Aspen Blake. Both of these females will be coming back to compete for your champion balancer female. They will be joined by your champion balancer, Heifer Calf, out of Class 1, Split 1, 2502. Fur River Jade, exhibited by Fur River Livestock at Hudson Bay, Saskatchewan. Once again, your champion balancer, Brett Heifer, was entry 2504, Flaidland Hotwire 99H, exhibited by Flaidland Livestock of Gladmar, Saskatchewan. And your reserve champion balancer, Brett Heifer, is entry 2503, BBG DN 2H, exhibited by Braylon Blake Gelvy and Aspen Blake. Once again, Class 4, this is your champion, reserve champion, balancer female, and all awards are sponsored by the Canadian Gelvy Association. Here's Judge Harvey with his comments on his champion balancer drive.
Well, this was really a small balancer division or championship, but you know the quality is extremely high. You've got a heifer calf that's got so much mass to her. She's really capacious, nice fronted, lots of muscle. Really a great individual in her own right, and could have standed a lot more competition. Then we went into the yearling heifer division, and you got two great individuals. You've got a heifer here that just excels in every manner. She's so nice in all of her different attributes. And the heifer that followed her, not taking anything away from her, she's a great individual. She's so easy doing, big bodied, nice fronted, really athletic made. Three individuals that show why the Gelvies are such a terminal cross that crosses so well with other breeds. And with that, Jill's going to go congratulate the champion in reserve.
Your champion is entry 2405, Flaidland Hotwire 99H, exhibited by Flaidland Livestock of Gladmar, Saskatchewan. And your reserve champion balancer female is entry 2502, Fur River Jade, exhibited by Fur River Livestock at Hudson Bay, Saskatchewan. Congratulations. We'll take a few moments to do some pictures at the backdrop, and then we're going to be right into junior showmanship. And the Pee-wees are first up. And they're competing for show canes donated by Fur River Livestock. And the Pee-wees, that's correct.
While we're waiting for our Maine-Anjou Show to resume, I'd like to acknowledge some of our Purebred Show sponsors. John Deere. John Deere is proud of its heritage of making outstanding farm equipment. John Deere dealers continue to live up to the same values the company was founded on: quality, innovation, integrity, and commitment. On behalf of Agribition and all the exhibitors, we would like to thank John Deere for their involvement in Agribition. Be sure to find the John Deere team walking around for sponsored tickets to the Agribition Cookhouse Buffet. Also to the SCA. The SCA is the voice of the Saskatchewan beef cattle industry. Through advocacy, research, and communication, our job is to help you succeed. Master Feeds. Master Feeds supplies the nutrition that produces the showstoppers at the beef shows across Canada and is a proud sponsor of Agribition. Master Feeds would like to congratulate all competitors this week for your dedication and commitment to showing excellence. In our Maine-Anjou Show, Class 10 is entering the ring. Purebred bull calves, born January 1st to July 15th, 2021, split 1. We have entry number 2824, Byman's Deliverance, exhibited by Byman Cattle from Wadena, Saskatchewan. And entry number 2828, SWM, Wilkin Ridge High Tide, 543J, exhibited by Wilkin Ridge Stock Farm from Ridgeville, Manitoba. And entry number 2829, SWM, Wilkin Ridge Touchdown, 524J, also exhibited by Wilkin Ridge Stock Farm from Ridgeville, Manitoba. Entry number 2823, Pick 6 Bojangles, 123J, exhibited by Pick 6 Cattle from Gull Lake, Saskatchewan. And entry number 2827, Denaro's Jagger, 40J, exhibited by Denaro Farms from Melfort, Saskatchewan. And entry number 2825, Mr. Resilvia 24J, exhibited by Resilvia Cattle Company from Derwent, Alberta. And entry number 2826, Mr. Resilvia 39J, exhibited by Resilvia Cattle Company from Derwent, Alberta.
The Galvey side, we're ready to start with our Pee Wee Showmanship. And in Pee Wee Showmanship, we have 2 entries. They're competing for show canes donated by Fur River Livestock. Your first entry is your entry of Jamie Davidson, followed by Rebecca Spray. And these are your Pee Wee Showmen over on the Galvey side. So big congratulations to our Pee Wee showmen, Jamie Davidson and Rebecca Spray. They are receiving show canes donated by Fur River Livestock. Our next class in the showmanship division of the junior show will be our junior showmanship. Let's give our Pee Wees a big congratulations. Great to have these young exhibitors out. Congratulations, Jamie and Rebecca. Now you have junior showmanship. That'll be your next entry or your next class. 7 entries in this class. It looks like we're ready to go. Your first entry in will be Colt Harebnik of Fur River Livestock. You have Braden Flaidlin of Flaidlin Livestock. Ash Davidson, Lonesome Dove Ranch. Cam Davidson of Lonesome Dove Ranch. Rayleigh Little, Little Farm. Amber Spray of Triple S and Haley Spray of Triple S. So here's our junior showmanship exhibitors coming in right now. And their awards have all been sponsored by Davidson Galvey.
Looks like our Maine-Anjou purebred bull calf class is complete. Split 1. Comments from Judge Lance Leachman.
Well, it's exciting with these 2 bull calves. I mean, it's one of those places where you really want to concentrate and complement the breed on a duo that's that dynamic and really progressive in terms of phenotype, in my opinion. Just how unique those individuals both are in their own rights. And I do think there are some legitimate differences and some advantages between the two. So I think just an exceptional tandem of bulls to start. You guys as breeders and you guys as a breed, in my opinion, should be extremely proud of those individuals because they don't come around very often. And I know we'd certainly be envious to own cattle that would kind of transmit the same quality, in my opinion, as what they have out here today. So, you know, the first bull, he's obviously got just a little bit more to him. I think he's longer bodied option. I think he's got more extension from his shoulder forward. I think he's potentially laid in just a bit smoother and more appropriate in the angle to his shoulder. Perhaps at times maintains his strength at top, particularly behind his shoulder and over his loin edge better than what that next bull does. Just more to that bull. I like his length. I like his stature. Both cattle still get out and track really well and have plenty of flexibility in their underpinnings to really be agile and long striding. You know, he's just more of him. I like that calf a lot. It becomes close, and I think you could legitimately come up with some things that you really like about that second bull. Primarily, the show person is way better. And she does an excellent job getting that calf perked up, really nice on the move, does a tremendous job of just displaying him to his best ability. And I think when you first look at him, I think what stands out to me personally is he the bigger bodied option? Is he deeper flanked? Is he kind of bolder and deeper through his center body? And I think part of it's an optical illusion because that first bull that goes out is longer bodied and perhaps just transmits that look of being longer, maybe not quite having as much dimension through his midrib, but he still has plenty. And I think the fact is with this bull, he's just a little bit shorter coupled, doesn't have quite that same extension, particularly out of his hip, and he just looks so big-bodied, so big-middled, bold, and powerful in the construction of his center body cavity. So that's a bull I think probably, if you want to say has an advantage from that standpoint, I wouldn't disagree. He's very fluid in his movement. I love how he comes out of his hip and his upper stifle, just with the same mass, dimension, and squareness. They're both big testicle cattle. He gets out and tracks really well. So I think that's a very, very valuable tandem that can be made in a tremendous amount of ways and give you hopefully some exciting progeny if they transmit anywhere close to the characteristics they possess themselves. Get into the next bull, and this guy, when he first came out in that lineup as the first individual in class, I thought the skirt bull is really practical. He's one that, to me, still has plenty of body dimension. He's muscular enough out of his hip in the way that he reads with some shape and dimension down into his lower quarter. I thought he still got out with enough mobility and flexibility down into his lower joints, still put it into a fairly appealing package, but still, honestly, he's just not in the same league as what those first 2 cattle are, but a very good individual fundamentally in his own right for the characteristics that I mentioned already. Bullet comes next. You know, he's one that, again, grabs your attention just in terms of his style and his presence. Bull that's really level in his design. You know, I like those characteristics about him. He sacrifices a tremendous amount of performance relative to the options that have preceded him in class and some of the options that will follow him. But still, of the remaining cattle, I just think he's built as good as what probably is left in this lineup in terms of levelness of lines, tracking with some stability and some direction, and still putting it into a appealing package with enough muscle and enough center body. Bullet comes out next. You know, he's got some unique attributes because he's so tall-fronted. He projects so much length and extension and stature out of his neck into his shoulder, into his skull. You know, Bullet just has a really neat front end. So if people are into some of those things, he's one that's been more unique in that regard from what we've seen today. But from there back, still has the levelness and strength of his top, still has some boldness to his rib. Maybe just doesn't have as much boldness and width down into his lower skeleton is what I prefer. Gets a little bit coarser sometimes in his joints and the way that he wants to get out, but still a really high quality calf. Two bulls that come out next. You know, I like this guy probably out of his hip better than what the red calf is. I just think he maintains his quality in that regard. You know, both those cattle are similar. They're sure sound enough structure. They still get out and move quite agile. You know, no problems with that. There's just a little bit more juvenile cattle that just are narrow constructed and flatter in terms of their true dimension and shape. The red calf that goes out next, again, I think he's probably got a notch more shape and dimension when you view him from behind compared to the black calf. I just don't prefer him, particularly on the stand, how he comes out of his hip, maybe a little bit lower in his pin placement, not quite as high in terms of his skeletal quality compared to the option in front of him, in particular those cattle that win the class. Excellent set of calves. I think two individuals to start that should generate a lot of interest and enthusiasm amongst your events this week.
Thank you, Lance. And our Class 10 purebred bull calves in the Maine-Anjou side in first, and our champion bull calf, purebred bull calf, goes to entry number 2825, Mr. Resilvia 24J, exhibited by Resilvia Cattle Company from Derwent, Alberta. And in second, and also your reserve bull calf champion, goes to entry number 2826, Mr. Resilvia 39J, exhibited by Resilvia Cattle Company from Derwent, Alberta. And in third goes to entry number 2824, Byman's Deliverance, exhibited by Byman Cattle from Wadena, Saskatchewan. And in fourth goes to entry number 2827, Danero's Jagger 40J, exhibited by Danero Farms from Melfort, Saskatchewan. In fifth goes to entry number 2823, Pick 6 Bojangles 123J, exhibited by Pick 6 Cattle from Gull Lake, Saskatchewan. In sixth place goes to entry number 2828, SWM, Wilkin Ridge High Tide 543J, exhibited by Wilkin Ridge Stock Farm from Ridgeville, Manitoba. And in seventh goes to entry number 2829, SWM, Wilkin Ridge Touchdown 524J, also exhibited by Wilkin Ridge Stock Farm from Ridgeville, Manitoba.
Over on our Gelby side, we have our three finalists pulled out in junior showmanship. Here's Judge Harvey with his comments.
Well, we're going to start the class off with this young boy with the black cowboy hat. He's just really keen. When he comes in to stop his heifer, he pulls her into place, and he's been working really hard at making sure she stops on her own so he doesn't have to fuss with her too much. Keeping that head up. I think he even did a better job than his grandpa showing, so sure did a nice job. And then in second place, went with this redheaded boy here. He sure has his heifer looking good all the time. He's got that back leg pushed back. She's set up right. Just a couple little things, but he's sure nipping on the heels of, I think that might be his brother, but definitely both of them did a great job. And this young little boy in third place here, he's really keen and excited to be out here. He's got a heifer that's getting a little tired right now, but he's still powering through it and doing a great job. So really impressed with the top three. The other kids down the line, Jill's just visiting with them, and it's big thing is make sure when make it easier on yourself, pull your animal into place so you don't have to touch as many feet. And in between placing a foot, make sure you scratch on that animal. Keep them quiet, because sometimes these judges take a long time and really drag out a show. So you need to make sure you keep your animal happy with you so that they want to cooperate, and you give the judge the best opportunity to look at that animal.
Well, thank you, Cole. And with that, your champion junior showman is Cam Davidson. Second in your reserve junior champion showman is Ash Davidson, and third is Braden Flaidland. So congratulations, juniors. Our next on the showmanship and the Gelby side will be your senior showmanship. Once again, thank you very much to Davidson Gelby for sponsoring the awards for our junior and senior champion showman. Our senior division, 5 entries in our senior division.
In the Maine-Anjou ring, in the ring now is Class 13 The purebred or full-blood bull born in 2020. Lone entry in this class, entry number 2830, Nordic Garth, 5H, exhibited by Nordic Maine-Anjou from Wyoming, Ontario. It looks like Lance has this one figured out. He'll have some comments.
Again, just a single yearling entry, but a bull that's got a lot of presence. I think when you analyze him through his front third, that bull is really engaging in terms of his neck stature and the way that it's laid up on the top side of his shoulder. He blends into his shoulder really nicely, toes ahead square off both ends of his skeleton. He's got plenty of bone. He's nice in his foot shape and size, and basically just the evenness from toe to toe. He's really leveled down his top. I just like those characteristics from a balance standpoint. I think he's really quite nice in terms of his pattern and the symmetry that he possesses. When you get him out of motion, honestly, I would like to see him just more athletic and a little bit more agile in the way that he flexes his hock and gets out and tracks off his rear skeleton. I don't see any issue necessarily up front, but I just wish he had a little bit more security and a little bit more athleticism in the way that he comes out of his hock to the ground. But a nice bull, really attractive, has a lot of balance and strength to his top and levelness and length out of his hip.
Thank you, Lance. Returning later on the champion drive will be entry number 2830, Nordic Garth, 5H, exhibited by Nordic Maine-Anjou from Wyoming, Ontario. Our next class end of the ring will be the Class 14 champion and reserve champion purebred or full-blood yearling bull.
On our Gelvy side, we're into our senior showmanship. First entry in is Dawson Flatlin, followed by Rylan Flatlin, Mason Thackeray, Caitlin Thackeray, and Aspen Blake.
Just wanted to acknowledge our Maine-Anjou champion bull calf sponsor, the Wilkin Ridge Stock Farm, and our reserve Maine-Anjou bull calf champion sponsor was Vandy Cattle. Sorry, correction on the Maine-Anjou bull class. Class 13 was an automatic Class 14 champion purebred yearling bull. That was 2830, Nordic Garth, exhibited by Nordic Maine-Anjou from Wyoming, Ontario. The class in the ring now is Class 15. This is your purebred or full-blood bull born in 2019. Lone entry in this class is entry number 2831. Guy Ma 4G, exhibited by Stenberg's Maine-Anjou from Alder Flats, Alberta. Go ahead, Lance, with some comments on this class.
Again, senior entry here. Just a big, long-bodied bull that's generated some performance. I like he's big enough bone, but still really smooth in his joints as you analyze him in his knee and his hock and down into his pasterns. Takes a really long stride, generally meets his track, for a bull that's got that much length of body. Really attractive up in his head and neck. He's got a neck that sets up good and high on the shoulders. He's laid in quite smooth and attractively through his shoulder. Comes back with some length to the rest of his body. In terms of balance, I'd obviously like to see him just a little bit longer and leveler out of his hip. He tends to maybe drop his pins on the move and on the rest as well. But, just a big bull. It's got plenty of athleticism to him in terms of the stride that he takes, good in his bone work, good in his testicular suspension, really high-quality individual to represent the more mature animals in this particular lineup.
Thank you, Lance. First in that class was entry number 2831, Guy Ma 4G, exhibited by Stenberg's Maine-Anjou from Alder Flats, Alberta. We'll now move along in our Maine-Anjou show to our grand champion and reserve champion purebred or full-blood bull. Class 17. Entering the ring in the Maine-Anjou Champion Bull class is entry number 2825-year bull calf champion, Mr. Resilvia 24J, exhibited by Resilvia Cattle Company from Derwent, Alberta. And your reserve bull calf champion, entry number 2826, Mr. Resilvia 39J, exhibited by Resilvia Cattle Company, also from Derwent, Alberta. Our champion yearling Maine-Anjou Bull, entry number 2830, Nordic Garth, 5H, exhibited by Nordic Maine-Anjou from Wyoming, Ontario. And our senior champion Maine-Anjou Bull is entry number 2831, Guimau 4G, exhibited by Stenberg's Maine-Anjou from Alder Flats, Alberta. This is your grand champion and reserve champion, purebred or full-blood Maine-Anjou Bull.
Over on the Gelby side here, we're on to our senior showmanship finalists, and here's Judge Harvey with his final comments of the day.
Well, just with time and age, you always just learn up and pick new traits and stuff like that and tricks to make it a little easier out in the ring. And this young lady, she's doing a really good job. And at the end, we decided to switch her with the boy behind her just because the heifer that he had wasn't quite cooperating enough today. And, you know, it was her first show potentially. But this heifer, the girl did an excellent job with this black heifer, and just always very keen, looking for the judge, has the heifer standing very nicely. Not to take anything away from how the boy presented his heifer calf here. He always had her looking 110% when she was standing still. She just kind of fought the halter a bit. And that's another thing. Just make sure your halter is fitting appropriately, because that always helps to make that animal want to lead a little bit better. The young boy that we're going to put in third, he does an excellent job with this big, powerful heifer. You know, just make sure that sometimes when you think she's standing all right, make sure you're being a perfectionist, that those front feet are square, that when he is over in the line here, he could have placed that 1 foot just a little bit more and had her standing more straight on her front end. So sometimes you just got to be a little pickier, but he sure did an excellent job. And the kids that rounded off the class here did a great job too. And on our kind of final note for the day, Jill and I'd like to thank our ring ladies today, Bridget and Sherry. They did a great job moving the cattle around, the marshals in the back for helping out, Ryan for announcing. He did a great job. And we'd like to thank Edgar Bishon for bringing us back here and being able to parade such great cattle again. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Cole. And in your senior class here, your first in class receiving the award sponsored by Davidson Gelby is Aspen Blake is first in class. Second in class is Dawson Flaidland. Third in class is Ryland Flaidland. So congratulations to your senior showmanship first, second, and third place individuals and everybody involved. With that, that wraps things up for everybody here on the Gelby side. We'll be back tomorrow at 12:30 at the John Deere Sale Arena for our national sale, as well as with their Sweetheart Classic. So thank you much. Congratulations to everybody involved.
I believe Judge Lance Leachman has a few comments on his champion Maine-Anjou Bull class.
Well, again, we didn't have a huge amount of bulls out here, but very pleased with the options that we did have, regardless of age. You know, I think two calves that I've talked about quite a bit. A yearling bull that still is really attractive up through his front third and still has a lot of balance down his top. You know, and then the mature bull out there that you like in terms of his bone work and the way that he can still get out and move and has some, you know, performance and scale and masculinity to him. So with that said, I still think there's some superior options here that to me are really, really exceptionally high quality, have a tremendous amount of future, some little subtle differences. And that's what makes it really neat when you see some cattle that have been bred similarly, but maybe would just wedge into a particular breeding scenario just a little bit more appropriately. And I think when you look at a couple of these younger bulls out here, they potentially have some of those attributes where, depending on that particular female or depending on the particular scenario, they might be mated to that, but still be so strong in so many other categories in terms of phenotype and what they might transmit. So with that, I'll go pick out the champion, reserve champion that I'm most comfortable with from a quality standpoint. Congratulations again. Thanks for putting in all the hard work and bringing out some bulls, regardless of age, that are going to represent your breed very favorably and definitely portray a positive image of where the Maine-Anjou breed is headed and where it already is at. So congratulations again, and thanks for an excellent set of bulls.
There you have it. Your grand champion Maine-Anjou bull goes to entry number 2825, Mr. Resilvia 24J, exhibited by Resilvia Cattle Company from Derwent, Alberta. And your reserve grand champion Maine-Anjou bull, also from Resilvia Cattle Company, entry number 2826, Mr. Resilvia 39J, exhibited by Resilvia Cattle Company from Derwent, Alberta. Congratulations on your grand and reserve champion Maine-Anjou bulls. The grand champion sponsor was Saskatchewan Cattlemen's Association. They will also receive a jacket sponsored by John Deere Limited. And your reserve grand champion bull sponsor was Dinero Farms from Melford. We'll be now taking a few moments for some pictures of your grand and reserve champion Maine-Anjou bulls. While we're waiting to begin our Maine-Anjou Show, we'd like to acknowledge some more of our Canadian Western Agribition Purebred Show sponsors. MNP. MNP Accounting Agricultural Specialists have deep roots in the industry. They are proud to sponsor and meet with you at MNP Breed Champion bars following the show. Also to Sass Barley. Did you know barley is one of the best feed options for cattle? Visit www.sassbarley.com for the latest information on the benefits of barley as feed and barley production in Western Canada. To SGI, if your friends plan to lasso a few drinks after the rodeo, SGI reminds you to be a good wingman. Don't let your friends drive impaired. Looks like we're ready to begin our Maine-Anjou Show again. Class 18, Get of Sire, entering the ring. We have 2 entries in this class. Entry number 2833, exhibited by Nordic Maine-Anjou from Wyoming, Ontario, and entry number 2832, exhibited by Resilvia Cattle from Derwent, Alberta. Looks like we'll have a few comments from Judge Lance Leachman.
Well, again, in these group classes, sometimes they get minimized in terms of performance, but it's always really neat to see as far as the direction and kind of consistency that you can garner from an operation and their intent and production circumstances and goals. So I always enjoy these. It's something that, there's a lot of sponsors that dedicate money to have these recognized, and I always appreciate the folks that carry through and bring out the cattle that can fill these slots, and I think it's really quite an opportunity to display a significant number of animals at the same time. With that said, I do prefer the group on my left here, this set of cattle. Obviously, they've been dominant throughout the evening here. Just very, very similar in terms of the phenotype and direction of those cattle from the sire. I think they've inherited so much as far as body and dimension and power, but still putting it into an impressive physical and skeletal package that's really useful in my opinion. So high quality set there. Group on the right side, that female I think is probably the standout in terms of quality of that trio. I really like her for a lot of different reasons in terms of body and stoutness and look. And all those cattle I do think have a lot of, good in terms of the lines that they offer down their top line. They're long, level design cattle. They're sure tractive through their front thirds, still have enough stoutness in terms of their bone work and their footwork. Maybe a little bit more inconsistent in terms of type as far as body dimension, from the bred or the bigger female, to the bull and to the younger option as far as the female. But again, I can see those cattle have some really unique pieces in terms of just their attractiveness and the way that they're made, particularly through their front end. So congratulations, nice set of cattle out here. Really, really phenomenal group from this particular get to start the lineup.
Thank you, Lance. In first place in our Get a Sire class goes to entry number 2832, exhibited by Resilvia Cattle Company from Derwent, Alberta. And in second to entry number 2833, exhibited by Nordic Maine-Anjou from Wyoming, Ontario. Your Get a Sire class sponsor was Manitou Maine-Anjou. Our next class enter the ring will be class 19, the progeny of Dam. We're looking for 2 entries in this class, an entry number 2835 exhibited by Nordic Maine-Anjou, and an entry 2834 exhibited by Resilvia Cattle Company from Derwent, Alberta.
The same factors apply in the progeny of Dam, and again, it's just a unique opportunity to see females if they've been mated in successive years, or however that lines up in terms of ages and sexes, just to see the similarities between the animals that you would hope would be indicative of what their Dam transmitted positively to them. So same thing can be said out here. The bulls on the right side, they will be my preference and win this class just based on the consistency and in terms of phenotype and characteristics that they assemble in their skeletal build that really fascinate me and that garner my attention. And same can be said, just as I mentioned in the last class, the attributes of these cattle in terms of the front dimension that they offer, the way that they're laid in their shoulders, still attractive, still youthful in terms of their development and design. I think those are still things to really hang your hat on as far as those cattle are concerned, and still go to the ground with sufficient bone and clean joints. Just a nice set of cattle out here, again, from dams that I know that you would have high regard for within your herds, and rightly so based on what they've been able to show everybody here today.
Thank you, Lance. Your progeny of Dam banner winner, sponsored by the Saskatchewan Maine-Anjou Association, goes to Resilvia Cattle Company from Derwent, Alberta. And in second was entry number 2835, Nordic Maine-Anjou from Wyoming, Ontario. Class 20 will be the next class into the ring, will be your breeders herd. We're looking for 4 entries in this class. Sorry, 3 entries in this class. We have 1 scratch. Entry number 2837 is a scratch. So we're looking for 3 entries in this class. Entry number 2838 by Nordic Maine-Anjou from Wyoming, Ontario, and 2836 from Resylvia Cattle Company, and entry number 2039 from Wilkin Ridge Stock Farm, Ridgeville, Manitoba. Your breeders herd champion banner is sponsored by the Canadian Maine-Anjou Association. Judge Lance will have comments on this class.
Again, breeders herd is a lot of work to assemble these animals out here. My wife, we always kind of go back and forth on this. We've kind of switched to showing exclusively bulls just to kind of go towards the commercial bull market and prioritize that. But, you know, she always brings back the importance of having females out here to or represent that portion of the operation, and how, you know, really unique and how impressionable that can be when you have females out here and project them in your mind. As females, it could be in your own herd if you utilize those genetics or the animals from that particular breeder or herd that you've really grown to appreciate throughout the events of a week. And so I think there's something to be said for that for sure, to just have cattle that have a lot of quality on both sides of the sexes, and to find bulls and females that can generate that. I mean, there's a tremendous amount of cattle that can breed one sex or another well, but then kind of let you down in the other. And so to find cattle out here that you think have done a nice job within their respective operations of breeding cattle of both sexes, to me is very important. So with that said, I'll go again with the middle group in terms of just the consistency and quality and phenotype of those cattle. I think it's been extremely impressive, and you guys should be awfully proud of what you brought out. I'll go next to the group on the right side, you know, for the characteristics that I've described in those cattle. You know, still a lot of neat features about them and how they've been built and how they've been presented attractively. And then the group over here, you know, I will say I like those cattle in terms of just the flexibility they have. You know, cattle that can go out and cover a lot of ground and do it quite easily based on the integrity of their skeletons, the flexibility to their joints, the way that they can track out and still generate pay weight from a commercial standpoint in terms of being cattle that have some frame, some performance, some length of skeleton to them. So I do appreciate those characteristics, and that's something that I think is really universal for the cattle that you folks have brought out. So I do appreciate that. You'll be third in this particular class, but again, I appreciate you guys all taking the time out here to show us your respective operations and the directions that you're headed. And clearly there is a direction for each of your operations, and that's to be commended for sure.
Thank you, Lance. Your breeders herd banner winner goes to entry number 2836, exhibited by Resylvia Cattle Company from Derwent, Alberta. And second goes to entry number 2838, exhibited by Nordic Maine-Anjou from Wyoming, Ontario. And in third goes to entry number 2839, Wilkin Ridge Stock Farm from Ridgeville, Manitoba. Just want to take a moment here to acknowledge some of the sponsors that put this World Congress Maine-Anjou Show on. Our platinum sponsors were the Canadian Maine-Anjou Association, the Manitoba Maine-Anjou Association, and the Saskatchewan Maine-Anjou Association. We have some gold sponsors: Byman Cattle, Manitou Maine-Anjou, the Ontario Maine-Anjou Association. Some silver sponsors: we have Deagle Cattle Company, Pick 6 Cattle, H.W. McElroy Ranch, ABC Cattle, Red Fox Maines, Wise Maine-Anjou Ranch, Stenberg's Maine-Anjou, Rapid Creek Ranch, Hanson Livestock, Badger Hill Maine-Anjou, Wilkin Ridge Stock Farm, Vandy Cattle, and K-Rod Cattle Company. Class 21, best pair of bulls, purebred or full blood, any age. Class 21, we'll have 2 entries, or maybe 1 entry. Looks like just 1 entry. 2840.
Again, I mean, we talked about them a tremendous amount this evening, but I just think it's so formidable that they've been able to assemble a pair of bulls that have that type of quality. I mean, that's years in the making to be able to bring out 2 cattle that look like that and resemble each other in so many positive facets, but still have some unique attributes that really make you maybe gravitate towards one or the other. So again, just want to congratulate you guys on the breeding decisions, the development, the preparation that's went into that pair of bulls. You should be tremendously proud, and I'm sure you are.
Thank you, Lance. My apologies on that class. It's the pair of bulls in the ring were Mr. Rasilvia 24J and also Mr. Rasilvia 39J, exhibited by the Rasilvia Cattle Company from Derwent, Alberta. Your champion pair of bulls sponsor was the Wise Maine-Anjou Ranch. In conclusion of the purebred full-blood Maine-Anjou Show, we have our premier breeder and premier exhibitor this year go both to the Rasilvia Cattle Company from Derwent, Alberta. They are your premier breeder and your premier exhibitor. Congratulations to Rasilvia Cattle Company. At this time, we'd also like to acknowledge the Herdsman Award. This award is presented by Trochu Nutrition. We have Jessica Hextall here to present. Our winner of the Maine-Anjou Herdsman goes to Burner Cattle Company. Congratulations to the Burners. Moving along in our Maine-Anjou Show in the ring is Class 1 in our percentage Maine-Anjou Show. In this class, we have entry number 2851, Reed's Francesca 10H, exhibited by Reed Ranching from Hafford, Saskatchewan. Also entry number 2853, ABC Ms. Dolly 218H, exhibited by Adrian Byman from Wadena. Entry number 2850, Kylie's Sweet Surprise 6H, exhibited by Leslie Berner from Verwood, Saskatchewan. And entry number 2852, Dinero Miss Havana 6H, exhibited by Dinero Farms from Melfort. This is split one of Class 1, your percentage Maine-Anjou, female born in 2020. For those of you that have just joined us on our World Congress Maine-Anjou Show, our judge today is Mr. Lance Leachman from Maidstone, Saskatchewan. Lance, along with his wife Sherry, owns and operates Big Gully Farm near Maidstone, Saskatchewan. The farm consists of Hereford, Pulled Hereford, and Angus cows with a bull and commercial female sale annually on the second Thursday of December. Lance graduated with animal science, animal breeding, and genetics degree from Kansas State University and Virginia Tech, respectively, before returning to take over the family farm in 2010. We'd like to welcome Mr. Lance Leachman here today to be our judge. Looks like Lance has his class complete. We'll now have comments.
Man, these young ladies have a beautiful set of heifers. I mean, each one of them has some really unique attributes that the young ladies should be extremely proud of and should be extremely excited to implement and see where these females sort out in production here pretty quick. And so I'll start with the female on my left, the hip-branded female. You know, I think she sticks out. You know, in all honesty, she's a great place to start. I love that female for still having some performance and dimension and scale, but she still puts it into quite easily for me the soundest, most appealing package, both on the move and at rest. I just think she's quite nice in terms of her shoulder design, over mid-rib, the way she maintains her quality of skeleton down her spine, the way that she comes out of her hip and her hind leg, and when she flexes at the ground, I think she's got a distinct advantage. You know, when we get to the second place heifer, there's some give and take, I think, between these two middle heifers. This female that comes next, I just read as having a little bit more maternal character, particularly up into her head and skull. I think she's a little bit more trim and tucked up in her brisket, down into her chest floor. A little bit longer bodied. I think she maintains her levelness atop a bit more appropriately on the move. So a couple cosmetic things that I think shake out in her favor in terms of just lining up skeletal-wise a bit more appropriately for me, a little bit more appropriately in terms of the way that she's designed from just a maternal perspective. Now, the young lady that's got that kind of brockle face female, I love that female in terms of her dimension. I mean, she is so big and bold out of the top of her spine, and the way that she transitions over her rib cage, the way that she comes over kind of her mid-rib, the way that she's hooked up behind her shoulder in terms of boldness and back into her flank. You know, she's a powerful, powerful individual as far as her spread of skeleton, the width that she has between her pins. She still maintains that base width. Just comes to some quality factors. For me, she's a female that's shorter and thicker about her neck, just a little bit shorter and bolder about her skull, and obviously has a bit more fill and boldness down into her chest floor. At times, too, she just doesn't hold her top line quite as attractively, quite as level and you know, just flexibly is what I prefer. But on the stand, she looks nice. I do really, really respect the amount of dimension that she's got, one that you'd suspect is going to be ultra easy keeping potentially when set in production based on her body type in relation to her. And she actually moves out really well, too. There's no flaws in that regard in terms of flex and motion. Just a female. It could be changed cosmetically in a few small regions. Female that comes out next, I mean, the young lady's probably going to be disappointed because that is a beautiful heifer. I like her a lot in terms of her body shape, you know, the silhouette that she poses in terms of her length atop. She's laid in appropriately enough up into her shoulder. She's got plenty of bone. She's still smooth jointed, nice big hip. All honesty, the thing that I have a concern with her is just the way that she moves off her hind leg. She's just a little bit too timid, a little bit too unstable. She just shuffles too much for my personal preference in terms of soundness of skeleton off those hind legs into her hock, into her lower joints, and that's why she sorts where she does. Otherwise, a really, really nice heifer that's got some phenomenal breeding pieces that you can utilize going down the road.
Thank you, Lance. All right, in first place and your champion percentage yearling female goes to entry number 2851, Reed's Francesca 10H, exhibited by Reed Ranching from Hafford, Saskatchewan. And in second, and your reserve champion percentage yearling goes to entry number 2853, ABC Ms. Dolly 218H, exhibited by Adrian Byman from Wadena, Saskatchewan. In third place goes to entry number 2850, Kylie's Sweet Surprise 6H, exhibited by Leslie Berner from Verwood, Saskatchewan. And in fourth goes to entry number 2852, Denero's Miss Havana 6H, exhibited by Denero Farms from Melfort, Saskatchewan. Once again, your champion percentage yearling female goes to entry number 2851, Reach Francesca 10H, receiving a banner sponsored by Arch Holdings. And your reserve yearling champion, percentage yearling champion goes to ABC Ms. Dolly 218H, banner sponsored by the Saskatchewan Maine-Anjou Association.
Really? Dinero's got second, didn't they?
Sorry, there's a correction on that, class. The reserve champion goes to Denero's Miss Havana 6H, exhibited by Denero Farms from Melfort, Saskatchewan. So she is your reserve percentage yearling champion yearling female. In the class entering the ring now is class 04, your percentage heifer calf. Sorry, this is your percentage cow calf, cow born in 2018. We have one entry in this class, 2854, Rockstar Showgirl 26E, exhibited by Leslie Berner from Verwood, Saskatchewan.
Well, the first pair that we've seen today, and the young lady made it one that's really worth taking the time to evaluate. I really like the cow in terms of her body type. Resembles a bred female here that we just saw, as far as just being a moderate female that you think is going to maintain her condition pretty much no matter what the circumstance might be production-wise. Just big-bodied, moderate in her frame, tremendous amount of curvature to her rib cage, still stout-featured in the way that she maintains that base width, the spread to her pins, and the shape and dimension down into her lower quarter and stifle, and still has a nice enough udder in terms of levelness and refinement, still is attractive enough through her front third, and has the bone and footwork to go along with it. So just a really nice cow. Skirt calf that's in front of her, big bull calf that I project being a little bit physically bigger maybe even than what you'd expect based on the frame that his female has at this point in his development. He's long-bodied, he's attractive, he's sure laid in at his shoulder quite nice, and has ample muscle and dimensions as you view him from behind. So a pair of really nicely fitted cattle, nicely presented cattle, very, very nice pair you should be awfully proud of as well.
Thank you, Lance. So that's entry number 2854, Rockstar Showgirl 26E, with her calf at side, Kylie's High Roller 1J, exhibited by Leslie Berner from Verwood, Saskatchewan. Entry number 2854, Rockstar Showgirl 26E, with her calf at side, was also your champion percentage senior female. And that banner was sponsored by the Saskatchewan Maine-Anjou Association. Our next class into the ring will be Class 6. Our percentage female heifer cows born in 2021, split 1. Should have 5 entries in this class. We have entry number 2856, Kylie's Lady in Blue 5J, exhibited by Leslie Berner from Verwood, Saskatchewan. And entry number 2864, Reed's Aurora 166J, exhibited by Reed Ranching from Hafford, Saskatchewan. And entry number 2855, Pick 6 Miss 112J, exhibited by Pick 6 Cattle from Gull Lake, Saskatchewan. And entry number 2862, ABC Ms. Candace 307J, exhibited by ABC Cattle Company from Whitewood, Saskatchewan. And entry number 2871, Miss Rosilvia 38J, exhibited by Kemp Farms Limited from Innisfil, Alberta. At this time, I'd like to just say a big hello to those of you watching from home on DLMS thank you to DLMS Cattle Vids for showing the show live online. Also, once again, we'd like to acknowledge some of our Canadian and Western agribusiness sponsors. Sweet Pro. Sweet Pro tubs are proven to improve forage conversion and enhance genetic potential of your livestock. The FCC financing, no payment for a year. Talk to a Sweet Pro rep today. And FCC, our thanks goes out to our platinum sponsor, FCC, the only lender 100% invested in Canadian agriculture. The FCC helps you make the most of your opportunities with financing and a knowledge designed for Canada's ag industry. Labatt. Budweiser is proud to support the Canadian agricultural industry and is committed to working with farmers across the country for years to come.
Another strong class here of heifer calves. Again, I think one to tie into quite handily that starts the class. I mean, that young lady's showing really high quality stock already, and this one's no exception. Again, I think you could use about any description on her from a class advantage standpoint that you'd like to apply, and it would fit. Just a high quality female. It's exceptional to look at, has some performance, plenty of dimension, and puts it into an extremely sound and attractive package. Female comes next. You know, there's a little bit of give and take between these two. I guess I read the young lady's heifer as having just a notch more true dimension, particularly when you get behind her. I think she's a little bit wider spaced out in her pins, stands a bit more muscular at her stifle, you know, and still has that base width and squareness down low. Probably projects just a little bit more boldness to her rib cage, and well, she's obviously the shorter bodied female. She's a little bit more conservative in terms of her stature and potential for future growth, but I like her balance and design and the way that she's made, probably handles her hock a little bit better as well in the way that it's laid into her skeleton. But again, a female, it's got some really nice attributes, just not in the same league as a heifer that proceeds her in class. Gentleman here's got a heifer that I really appreciate from the standpoint of being a bigger option. That's got really a lot of length of body, still has that appropriate look in terms of youthfulness up through her head and her neck and her shoulder. A heifer that's still got lots of width to skeleton, maybe just not as expressive in terms of the shape that she offers from a muscle standpoint as a couple of the options ahead of her, but still she's got plenty of growth to her, has plenty of dimension. I really like her length and extension, as I mentioned already. Female that comes next, there's some challenge here. I think there's just more of this solid black heifer. I think when you start up front, she's got a bit more spread to her chest floor. She's a heavier structured female that just got a little bit more natural dimension. Now, I do struggle with this heifer when you get her on the stand or on the move, and she's kind of been pushing the young lady, and part of that would be a challenge too. But she just wants to get up in her spine a little bit, particularly over a loin edge. Consequently, she wants to duck her pins and get a little bit lower there. Maybe doesn't quite have the authority in the way that she goes off her hind leg. So just generally, her hip and hind leg structures hinged a bit tighter, a little bit more awkward than I'm comfortable with. But from there forward, I sure liked a lot of things about that heifer. The roan heifer, when she first came in, you really like her in terms of her female character up front. She's long and slender about her neck and her skull. She's laid in appropriately at the angle to her shoulder. She maintains her levelness atop to a higher, more acceptable degree than the female precedes her in class. You get looking at her, she has some of the same tendencies out of her hip and her hind leg, just to maybe not be quite as stout and as authoritative in the way that she travels off. And she is just a little bit narrow constructed, a little bit flatter shaped heifer that's a little bit more conservative in terms of her bone, but still has a nice maternal look to her, still gets out and tracks quite favorably in terms of her extension of stride and the flexibility that she has down low.
Lance. In our first split of the Maine-Anjou percentage heifer calf class, in first goes to entry number 2864, Reed's Aurora 166J, exhibited by Reed Ranching from Hafford, Saskatchewan. And in second is entry number 2855, Pick 6 Miss 112J, exhibited by Pick 6 Cattle from Gull Lake, Saskatchewan. In third goes to entry number 2862, ABC Ms. Candace 307J, exhibited by ABC Cattle Company from Whitewood, Saskatchewan. And in fourth goes to entry number 2871, Miss Sylvia 38J, exhibited by Kemp Farms from Innisfil, Alberta. And in fifth place goes to entry number 2856, Kylie's Lady in Blue 5J, exhibited by Leslie Berner from Burwood, Saskatchewan. This is split 2 of our Class 6 percentage female born in 2021. In this class, we should have 5 entries. We have entry number 2868, Miss Sylvia 4J, exhibited by Sylvia Cattle from Derwent, Alberta. And entry number 2860, ABC Ivanka 308J, exhibited by ABC Cattle Company from Whitewood, Saskatchewan. And entry number 2858, Glenview Dixie, exhibited by Glenview Farms, Bellwood, Ontario. And entry number 2867, MHC Bliss 17J, exhibited by Hanson Livestock from Weldon, Saskatchewan. And entry number 2870, Denaro Miss Jade 5J, exhibited by Denaro Farms from Melfort, Saskatchewan. Once again, would just like to make mention of some of our World Congress Maine-Anjou Show sponsors. Some bronze sponsors are Danes Cattle and O'Neill Livestock, and Nordic Maine-Anjou, Burner Cattle, Rasilvia Cattle Company, First Impressions Promotional, and Calberta Farms. Thank you to all those that sponsored the World Congress Maine-Anjou Show here at Canadian Western Agribition, the 50th anniversary.
Another strong class of heifers here, and I think there's some compromise, particularly when you get into those second and third spots, just some things that are very different, but just depends on what your preferences as to what you'll gravitate towards. I guess the heifer that initiates the class, I mean, she compromises a little bit of performance and scale compared to these next two females, but with that said, I think she's still, to me, the attractive option that puts together enough mass with enough structural integrity to go ahead and probably elevate herself to the top. Just a female that really strikes you hard when she comes in terms of being relatively fluid in her movement. She's sure got an engaging look through her front third. A female that's still big enough bodied and broody in terms of her appearance with regard to flank and just the way that she's laid back, and the angle to her shoulder still comes out with some quality to her hip and to her hind leg and travels out quite nicely. So really high quality female to start. Heifer that comes in second, you can apply some class advantages to her in terms of being a big, stout, big top female. It's got a tremendous amount of natural skeletal width, a lot of power and performance, and I really like those characteristics about her, and I think that she does definitely segregate herself to the top relative to the females on either side of her in those regards. I guess where I'd like to just modify her, in all honesty, is from a structural standpoint. She gets out fine, but she still, to me, is just a little bit more abrupt and a little bit steeper in the angles to her ankles, both up front and off the rear portion of her skeleton. If I could just set her with a little bit more angle, a little bit more curvature, and a little bit more cushion in the way that she meets the ground in those particular regions, I think that would sure do a lot of good for her, because she's a unique creature in some other regards in terms of mass and dimension and power, particularly on the top side of her skeleton. Female comes in next. Again, this lady's got just a really good female. I like her in terms of resembling our class winner from the standpoint of being, good enough at the ground and still having some length and attractiveness to her. She doesn't have the mass of that female that's in second. That's where you'd like to alter, is just maybe give her a little bit more impressionable look on the top side of her skeleton. She's by no means average. I mean, she's still above average, but just gets outpowered in that second slot by the other heifer that precedes her. I still like that female a lot in terms of her balance and quality and the way that she handles herself. Females that come out here next, I mean, obviously both of these females, again, sacrifice performance and scale and weight per day of age depending on their age, but those females I think still can be discussed in a very positive manner. Of the two, I think this female to me has just got more body to her still. I think she's dropped down deep in her flank, just more comfortable in the way that she's constructed from a rib standpoint. Probably doesn't run downhill quite as much either from her hooks on into her shoulder in that regard. She still gets really tight in her spine, which I'd like to alter, and that's the thing with her, just from a balance perspective. If you could loosen her up in her spine, make her a bit more flexible, I think she's quite a nice heifer in there. Just gives up too much mass to the heifers that precede her. And the female completes the class, same can be said there. Again, I like that heifer probably better in terms of the way that she's made down her top. She just gets a little bit tucked up in her flank, a little bit lower performing, and a little bit narrower constructed compared to those top options, but still some quality females to conclude the class.
Thank you, Lance. All right, in Class 6, split 2 of 3. In first place goes to entry number 2868, Miss Rasilvia 4J, exhibited by Rasilvia Cattle Company from Derwent, Alberta. And in second place goes to entry number 2858, Glenview Dixie, exhibited by Glenview Farms from Bellwood, Ontario. In third place goes to entry number 2860, ABC Ivanka 308J, exhibited by ABC Cattle Company from Whitewood, Saskatchewan. In fourth place goes to entry number 2867, MHC Bliss 17J, exhibited by Hanson Livestock from Weldon, Saskatchewan. And in fifth place goes to entry number 2870, Denaro Miss Jade 5J, exhibited by Denaro Farms from Melfort, Saskatchewan. The class in the ring now is the third split of Class 6, percentage heifer calves born in 2021. In this class, we have entry number 2861, ABC Kaylee 306J, exhibited by ABC Cattle Company from Whitewood, Saskatchewan. And entry number 2869, KGBL Florabama 124J, exhibited by Gold Bar Livestock from Cairnport, Saskatchewan. And entry number 2866, LSF Bubbles 04A 28J, exhibited by Lucky Springs Farms from Rocky Mountain House, Alberta. And entry number 2865, KMS Reflection 811D 11J, exhibited by Lucky Springs Farms from Rocky Mountain House, Alberta. And 2857, TCF OHA Maternal Jane 33J, exhibited by the Cliffs Farms from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Additional owner, Curtis Reed. While Lance is analyzing this class, we'd like to once again acknowledge some of our Canadian Western Agribition Purebred Show sponsors. The Atlas Hotel is Regina's fiercely independent, locally owned, full-service hotel with 200 guest rooms, a pub, restaurant, water park, and oodles of event space. There's something for everyone. The Ministry of Agriculture. Services provided by the Ministry of Agriculture are available in the office, online, and right in the field to ensure that farmers, ranchers, and industry have access to research, production, and business information, risk management tools, and ministry services. Our team of extension specialists offer advice and special support to all types of livestock, crops, forage, and value-added processing businesses. We're here to help you access the programs, information, services you need. Visit their booth, number 115 in the ITC, to connect with their specialists. The Ministry of Agriculture believes there's a real opportunities for the livestock sector in Saskatchewan. The ministry is proud to confirm our partnership and continue to be a platinum sponsor of Agribition. Please visit booth number 115 in the ITC to connect with one of their specialists. Sask Milk. Saskatchewan dairy farmers are proud to provide high-quality, delicious milk for our family farms and to support local communities throughout events and sponsorships. Versatile wishes the best of luck to all participants. The Versatile Nemesis is the only Canadian-built tractor in the segment, designed for the toughest conditions.
Very solid class of heifers, I think, here from 1 to 5. There's some really positive attributes you can glean from each particular individual. I guess to start out with this female here, you know, she's one that just has so much dimension to her. I mean, she's highly fitted, but also just a big, heavy structured, big bodied, you know, stout hip female that still to me is good enough in terms of angles to have a relatively maternal look. Now, some people might question her in terms of just being as clean and thin-necked and extended as probably what these second and third females are perhaps, but I still think she's acceptable in that regard and just has so much natural dimension and mass, but still puts it into a flexible package on the move. I don't have any reservations in that regard either, just like the dimension that female displays. Heifer that comes in next, I mean, I like her in terms of a maternal look, you know, the shape to her neck and the way that she's laid in at her shoulder. At times, she wants to kind of push up over her loin edge and sometimes doesn't give you the best look, but on the stand and at times on the move when she's not fighting quite as much, I think that balance still is there. I mean, she's a female to me that's laid in nice at her shoulder. I like the way that she comes down into her knee and her forearm. It still has enough body dimension to her and is square and stout out of her hip. And you look at her from behind, she still has that base width. And I think that's the deciding factor between these two cattle, and they are vastly different in some regards. There's just genuinely more to the second heifer than what the third heifer has, in my opinion. Third female, you won't find one in this class that's got the same type of elegance, extension, you know, construction through her front third that she's got. You know, this white-faced heifer I absolutely love in terms of the way that she poses, stays alert, stays so attractive and youthful through her front third, and still has a lot of length and generated some performance to go along with it. But when I truly analyze this one, I guess I just like to see more spread in her skeleton from front to back. To me, she just gets a little bit closer to her knee and a little bit tapered in the base of her chest floor. Same thing as she goes away from you. She's impressive enough up top, but she just, to me, gets a little bit too narrow at the base of her skeleton, a little bit too close at her foundation for my personal preference, and consequently doesn't show the same muscle dimension and expression that probably those two heifers going out and probably the heifer behind her do, but still a really unique heifer for a couple of characteristics, particularly through her front end region. Next female that comes out here, again, she's just a good cattle. She's as big bodied, she's got some muscle, she's stout enough boned, she is lower performing, she's shorter bodied, a little bit shorter coupled, and maybe doesn't get out of her hind leg with quite just the same extension and fluidity, but still very acceptable in that regard, just not as much of her, not as big and attractive as a package. Female that comes out next probably corrects a few of those deficiencies in terms of being just a little bit more extended from her shoulders forward, generally a bit bigger in her type and kind. Heifer that I still like in terms of the way that she gets out in motion, just doesn't have the same unique physical attributes in terms of a little bit more power and dimension and stoutness of bone and quality that I maybe think those initial heifers possess, but still in a really strong, a very practical and fundamentally correct female that concludes the class in that particular group.
Thank you, Lance. In our third split of Class 6, our percentage heifer calves born in 2021, in first place goes to entry number 2866, LSF Bubbles 04A 28J, exhibited by Lucky Springs Farms from Rocky Mountain House, Alberta. And in second goes to entry number 2857, TCF OHA Maternal Jane 33J, exhibited by the Cliffs Farms, Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, additional owner Curtis Reed. And in third place goes to entry number 2865, KMS Reflection 811D 11J, exhibited by Lucky Springs Farms from Rocky Mountain House, Alberta. And then fourth goes to entry number 2869, KGBL Floribama 124J, exhibited by Gold Bar Livestock from Cairnport, Saskatchewan. And entry number 2861 rounds off the class, ABC Kaylee 306J, exhibited by ABC Cattle Company from Whitewood, Saskatchewan. Our class in the ring now should be Class 7 of the Champion and Reserve Champion Percentage Heifer Calf class. An impressive set of percentage Maine-Anjou heifer calves. Looks like we'll have some comments from Judge Lance on this Champion Percentage Maine-Anjou heifer calf class.
Well, this is really exciting. I'm sure happy to be out here at times like this when you've got 6 females assembled that have this type of quality and usefulness. And I just got thinking about it, the expectations of how some of these females will be made. It may be a bit drastically different from operation to operation, and that's great. I mean, that's the fun of the industry, is to try and come up with combinations that suit your circumstance and environment and marketing scenarios that are going to allow you to be most successful. And I think regardless of what some of your breeding objectives are, there's several of these females that may work across the spectrum, and there's several that I think could be implemented in a fine-tuned fashion to really get at what you want to accomplish. And I think there's enough diversity in type. A lot of people, they always want you to have a direction established as a judge, but sometimes it's just not possible. And I think there's some heifers out here that have some really unique attributes that I love, no matter which one they are, but maybe portray it in vastly different scenarios. So with that said, I just want to appreciate all you exhibitors. 6 heifers that I would give anything to own any one of them myself in terms of the phenotype that they possess. So again, kudos to all the breeders that have been able to create these type of females. You know, it's always exciting, again, as I had mentioned earlier, to see what they end up in terms of production, where I project them just seeing them for a few minutes versus what you folks do that work with them every day. And so with that, there's a couple heifers that still elevate themselves to me in terms of quality and what I seek in terms of the combination of traits they offer. So I'll go pick those two. But again, just a tremendous representation of the females in this percentage show. Congratulations to each of you.
All right, there you have it. Your champion percentage Maine-Anjou heifer calf goes to entry number 2864. And that's out of your second split, I believe. Where's my pages? So that was Reed's Aurora 166J, exhibited by Reed Ranching from Hafford, Saskatchewan. And your reserve percentage heifer calf goes to 2866 LSF Bubbles 04A 28J, exhibited by Lucky Springs Farms from Rocky Mountain House, Alberta. The champion percentage heifer calf will receive a banner sponsored by Kuroki Customs Welding and Fabrication. And your reserve champion percentage heifer calf will receive a banner sponsored by W5 Livestock. Our next class into the ring will be our Grand and Reserve Grand Champion Percentage Maine-Anjou Female, Class 8. In this champion class, we have entry number 2864, Reed's Aurora 166J, exhibited by Reed Ranching from Hafford, Saskatchewan. And entry number 2866, LSF Bubbles 04A 28J, exhibited by Lucky Springs Farms from Rocky Mountain House, Alberta. And our yearly champion yearling percentage yearling is entry number 2851, Reed's Francesca 10H, exhibited by Reed Ranching from Hafford, Saskatchewan. And our reserve champion, percentage yearling champion was entry number 2852, Dinero Miss Havana 6H, exhibited by Dinero Farms from Melfort, Saskatchewan. And our cow calf senior champion, percentage Maine, is entry number 2854, Rockstar Showgirl 26E with her calf at side, Kylie's High Roller 1J, exhibited by Leslie Berner from Verwood, Saskatchewan.
Well, the finale of the female show here again, just want to express my gratitude for the type of cattle that you guys have exhibited and highly fitted too. I mean, they've done a tremendous job in terms of presentation and pride in the cattle that are out here. So commendable job on that. It's definitely something that I have no ability to replicate in any close fashion. You know, as far as these heifer calves are concerned, they're very different. And fundamentally, it just depends what your priorities and kind of how you see cattle as to which one you prefer. You know, the heifer calf that I elected to use, I just love in terms of maternal character, the way that she's made up front, you know, her fluidity of movement, the way that she's so attractive in her lines and level down her top side, still has that uniformity of depth, has enough muscle dimension relative to her age and sex, and still has just a maternal look. Female right here, so highly fitted, powerful, big top, big bodied, stout out of her hip, big bone, but still puts it into an attractive package and gets out and moves really quite nicely. bred heifer that came out, she struck me pretty hard initially when these cattle came out earlier on. I just like her a bunch. I mean, there's not a bunch you'd like to alter about her. Female that to me is just fundamentally good as far as being big-bodied, maternal in her look, sound structured, and having enough performance and dimension to go along with it. Female that came second out of that group, again, a practical constructed heifer in terms of getting out with enough integrity of skeleton and flexibility of movement. Just doesn't possess the same quality, the same distinction in terms of just her look, her natural dimension, and the way that she's constructed. And then the lone cow calf that we've seen today, again, kudos to young lady, just a big-bodied, easy-keeping, modest frame female that you'd expect to really set herself apart in terms of doing things in a low input manner perceived. That's my perception of her at least. And then bull calf, again, it's got some performance, probably a little bit longer in his bone work than maybe what I perceive his dam to be, and would lead me to believe that he'll be even bigger genetically than maybe what you'd anticipate based on the size of his mother. So a nice combination there. I'll go pick out the champion reserve in this particular group of females, but again, congratulations on an excellent and really high representative group of cattle for your breed.
And your grand champion percentage Maine-Anjou female goes to entry number 2851, Reed's Francesca 10H, exhibited by Reed Ranching from Hafford, Saskatchewan. And your reserve grand champion percentage Maine-Anjou female goes to entry number 2864, Reed's Aurora 166J, exhibited also by Reed Ranching from Hafford, Saskatchewan. Congratulations to Reed Ranching on your grand and reserve grand champion percentage Maine-Anjou females. Our grand champion percentage Maine-Anjou female banner sponsored by ABC Cattle Company, and your reserve grand champion percentage Maine-Anjou female is sponsored by Burner Cattle Company. I believe we'll take a moment or two to take a few photos of our grand and reserve champion percentage Maine-Anjou females. Welcome back to our Maine-Anjou percentage show. In the class now is class 9. Our percentage bulls born in 2021, split 1. Looks like there's only one class. In this class, we have 5 entries. Entry number 3258, Byman's Dutton, exhibited by Byman Cattle Company from Wadena, Saskatchewan. Entry number 2874, MHC Justice 36J, exhibited by Hanson Livestock from Weldon. And entry number 2876, Dinero Mr. Jock 37J, exhibited by Dinero Farms. And entry number 2872, Kylie's Headliner 3J, exhibited by Leslie Berner from Verwoerd, Saskatchewan. And entry number 2873, Kylie's High Roller 1J, exhibited by Leslie Berner from Verwoerd, Saskatchewan. This is your only percentage bulls in the show today. We have a correction in this class also. There is a scratch. 2876, Dinero Mr. Jock 37J is a scratch. And we have 2869 as a replacement. An entry from ABC Cattle, I believe. Once again, just want to acknowledge Canadian Western Agribition show sponsors, platinum sponsors, Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada, BMO, CN, Ford, Chevrolet GMC, Glacier Farm Media, John Deere Canada, Labatt, Norheim Ranching, Saskatchewan Ministry of Agriculture, the Mosaic Company, FCC, Regina Hotel Association, Saskatchewan Cattlemen's Association, SaskTel, Young's Equipment, Tourism Saskatchewan, City of Regina, Ritchie Brothers Auctioneers, and Connexus Credit Union are your platinum sponsors. Gold sponsors, SGI, CIBC, Cowtown, Regina Exhibition Association Limited, Canada's Farm Show, Golden West Radio, Master Feeds, MNP, TD Bank Group, Ag in Motion, Country Guide, Cattlemen's Association, Grain News, the Prairie Catalog, and the Western Producer, all from the Glacier Farm Media. We also have silver sponsors, 2W Livestock Equipment, Blair's family of companies, Casino Regina, CN, City TV, Corby, Country Thunder, Saskatchewan, Regina Leader Post, RBC, Enbridge, Hayes Tech, Merrick Animal Health, Prairie Mobile Communications, Pattison Outdoor Advertising, SAS Power, CMEX Beef, the Co-op Refinery Complex, Stars Air Ambulance, Sweet Pro, and SAS Milk, and Yeti are your silver sponsors here at Canadian Western Agribition. It looks like Judge Lance Leachman has his percentage bull class complete. This will be your champion percentage bull calf and your overall grand and reserve champion bull class.
Well, I guess I maybe should have gave some summation comments earlier, but I guess I just appreciate anybody that's been out here throughout the course of the evening and their patience and sticking with us and trying to hopefully describe the cattle for an event of this magnitude in a respectful manner to the exhibitors and take the time to see them justly. And we tried to get through them, but give everybody a fair look, I hope. I just want to express my appreciation to be invited to do this. I know we didn't get it done last year, but I'm glad that we did this year, and I've sure enjoyed getting to see in both shows just the quality of cattle and the preparation and the objectives that everybody's possessed. And I think, generally the cattle came out very functional in terms of structure and skeleton for the most part. Cattle that I thought had been managed appropriately, weren't excessive or probably unusable in a lot of regards. So just I thought a very practical set of cattle that can be implemented in a diverse set of circumstances and scenarios and still be successful, and neat to see the trajectory that the breed is on. I hope through the events of this week that you guys have been able to kind of put the show part aside and competition part aside and get to know people from across the country to a better and higher degree and appreciate where they're coming from and where they're headed, and maybe come up with some summarizing thoughts as far as a breed and being critical of where you're at, what you do well, maybe what you'd like to improve on, and just trying to gain some momentum and try and establish those goals as you move forward. So hope you guys have had a tremendous event. I hope today the sale sounded like was phenomenal with, as higher as the average as I was told it had. And I hope the events tomorrow in terms of the futurity and your banquet tomorrow evening are equally as fun as successful. We've had a lot of young people out here, a lot of young ladies that have done a tremendous job, some young men. So it's really encouraging to see the amount of youth that's still out here and is going to move the breed forward and has a passion and a love for the breed and the unique things that they can complement so many herds, whether it's commercially or aspects like this where people prefer to maybe show. So I just want to, again, thank everybody. You should be awfully proud of the job that you've done with the cattle that you presented and the breed is presented in general. I think it's in very good hands with the people and the capable people that we've seen out here exhibiting them today. So with that, I'll just summarize the lineup out here in terms of the bull classes. I thought a really nice duo of bulls to line up from these folks. The calf that wins to me is probably just a little bit more to him at times. I like his length of body. I think he's maybe got as much genuine depth and boldness to his rib cage, gets out, moves quite well as well. And same can be said for the bull that comes in next. I mean, big hip, stout enough at the ground in terms of bone and shape, still has some scale and some length of bone and some extension both in his neck region, but also just generally in his length of body to accumulate some performance and weight. Bull calf that comes in next in the third position, that's a calf that I really like, again, just in terms of his practicality. He's a big-bodied, deep-sided bull that's bold and open in his heart. He's got a lot of drop down to his flank, but still to me has probably the couple's more muscle than the next individual. Couple's a little bit more skeletal integrity than the individual that concludes the class. Now, he doesn't possess the same dimension and length and maybe skeletal build as what those first two cattle preceding him in class do, but still a nice individual in his own right as far as just putting some fundamentally important characteristics together. Bull calf that comes out next, I do like as far as, his skeleton. I think that's his advantage in this particular duo is that he's just built better in my opinion. Particularly on the move, I think he maintains his levelness atop to a much more appropriate degree, still has a nice dimension to his hip, and I think he's just hinged a lot looser and more correctly out of his hip and hind leg in the way that he goes about. Again, doesn't have the same dimension, skeletal width, and performance that those calves in front of him do, but I think in terms of quality and structural build, that one is one to still appreciate to a high degree. Bull that comes out next, he's got some masculinity to him, certainly has some muscle and some shape and expression and spread to his top, on the backside of his shoulder over his loin edge and out to his hip. I just like to reconfigure him from a structure standpoint. Soften him up in his spine, relax him in his shoulder, give him a bit looser gait in the way that he goes out of his rear skeleton and his hind leg, and that would be my main modification on him. So congratulations, excellent show, and thank you all for participating.
You bet. Well said, Lance, and thank you for the job you done today. Excellent job, and always lots of good things to say. In this class, this is our Grand and Reserve Grand Champion bull calves, as well as our overall Grand and Reserve Champion percentage bulls. And their Grand Champion bull goes to entry number 2873, Kylie's High Roller 1J, exhibited by Leslie Berner from Verwoerd, Saskatchewan. And your Reserve Grand Champion percentage Maine-Anjou bull also goes to entry number 2872, Kylie's Headliner 3J, also exhibited by Leslie Berner from Verwoerd, Saskatchewan. In third place is entry number 2859, is an entry from ABC Cattle Company. In fourth is entry number 3258, Byman's Dutton, exhibited by Byman Cattle Company from Wadena, Saskatchewan. In fifth place goes to entry number 2874, MHC Justice 36J, exhibited by Hanson Livestock from Weldon. Your grand champion percentage bull calf will be banner sponsored by Rock Spring Show Cattle. Your reserve champion percentage bull calf, banner sponsored by Vandy Cattle. And your overall grand champion percentage bull, banner sponsored by Borson Marketing Services. And your reserve grand champion percentage bull goes to, or sponsored by K-Rod Cattle Company. We're darn near there on our Maine-Anjou Show. We have, I believe, one entry in our Class 16 pair of bulls. And it looks like that'll be an automatic winner. And that entry is 2877, Kylie's Headliner 3J, and the Kylie's High Roller 1J, exhibited by Leslie Berner from Verwood, Saskatchewan. Those were your grand and reserve grand champion Maine-Anjou percentage bulls here at Canadian Western Exhibition 2021, your 50th anniversary show. That concludes our World Congress Maine-Anjou Show here at Canadian Western Exhibition. Thank you for all those that exhibited your cattle today. Thank you for those that watched here as well as online with DLMS. Thank you to our presenter, Cheyenne Bernier, and our ringman, Patrick Johnson. We have some marshalers in the back that were helping out, Mr. Mike France and Lyle McLaren. We also have Sierra here from the Maine-Anjou office, the Canadian Maine-Anjou office, and Angie Bernier helping out, getting everything organized, presenting out banners and the ribbons for the placings today. Thank you to all those that sponsored. Thank you to Sandra Spratt and Suzanne Byman for helping tabulate things up here. And one other mention before you all leave and go home, to maybe come back here tomorrow morning for the main attraction here at 9 a.m., the main attraction Heifer Calf Jackpot Show. It'll be held over in the John Deere Sale Arena. I believe that's at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, the main attraction Heifer Calf Jackpot Show.